Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I am Mr. C of Iroko Critic, and I'm on the number one Nollywood podcast in the world that has Mr. C as a host. Welcome. Today we are going to be discussing a film. We will discuss the good, we'll discuss the bad, and we'll do a summary. Um, that's how things work on this podcast. Which is a space really. I'm doing an intro today because I deleted the intro part in the from the space because I'm trying to keep it trim, which I don't know if I'm helping by waffling on here, but yes, I did do that anyway. Anyway, we will be discussing very interesting. We This film we watched on the watch party as well. We had an emotional ride. I think this film for us on the watch party anyway. I can't speak to everybody. I'll speak for everybody. For us on the watch party, this started really well. It's written by one of my favorite writers in Nollywood, Africa Uko. Started really well, and then you hear the rest. You'll hear the rest. I hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discuss the Razz Guy.
I liked the writing at the start. I thought it was quite strong. I liked Lasisi as the lead. I think he was quite good at doing both playing a straight and playing a comedic character. And I think they did a good job setting up his personality, setting him up as a person, not just an actor hitting this point and then this point and then this point. It's like we kind of get the idea of the kind of person he is. What else did I like? Bucci Franklin. Bucci Franklin and his British accent. That was bloody fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Bucci Franklin's underrated. But yeah, there were quite a few things I liked about this film. I think the jazz as well, the subtlety of it. And yeah, subtle could have been a thing if not for a few things. But yeah, there were quite a few things I enjoyed about this.
Yeah, I'd have to add that a lot of the things, the subtlety is a key thing for what a lot of this film does well. So when we're talking about subtlety, you highlighted even with Lassisi's character. I think his name is Temi, right?
Yeah.
It's letting the script do the work.
Yeah.
It's letting, so like he's not trying to be funny. He's just delivering the lines of all of these things where he's interrupting that opening bit where he's interrupting the interns and he is just being harsh, but like he's not even doing it out of malice. He thinks this is the thing he has to do because this is the level that he's at. So, everybody should also be at that level, right? And so that's a main thing with it. I liked even the subtlety of the physical comedy he has to do, the slapstick he has to do when it's called upon. Like when people like snap the fingers behind him, there's a thing he does with his body, like when you just finish drinking cold water or something, like where it just enters your body. It's nice, but he doesn't automatically become it. He doesn't become a doofus. It happens briefly, and then he goes back into being a straight person. But yeah, there's subtlety. I think is a common theme amongst it. Got a couple of speakers now on. So Mariah, if you can tell us some of the things you liked about the Razz Guy.
I really enjoyed the way they lit the room after he fell asleep with the third click. They showed the passage of time through the sort of the dark curtain or the window, and then it turning light. And I thought, oh, that's a bit of physical effect that I don't really see, because a lot of things tend to be visual effects, and I'm sure that was just use of light and stuff. I thought that was nice. I enjoyed, I've forgotten her name now, but is it the character with the hijab who is basically like the straight man for all of Temmie's you know
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
radness, because it was somebody to balance.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed her being able to play things straight. Um, yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I did. I actually even enjoyed like seeing her in there. Like, it's not very common for us to get that kind of, I would say, representation without like leaning unnecessarily hard into it
Yeah.
or having it. She was just a person
Yeah. She's just
there
Yeah,
doing her
and
job.
I was gonna forgot to say, like, generally when you have a woman in these kinds of situations, they try to make her shrewish, or
Mm,
they make
yeah.
her a bit on the complete opposite in some way. But she was just like a nice friend, and she wasn't trying to do too much herself, but she sort of helped bring up his or play up the razziness.
Yeah. She was. I think she also played this role as his sort of moral compass. Well, like trying to guide him right at the beginning, where like, hey, you don't have to be hard on the interns. They'll get it. We've got time. There's no need to be unnecessarily harsh on them. But yeah, all right. Thanks, Mariah. Elizabeth.
Okay, so first, I want to say that I'm very impressed with Lass's performance, and honestly, I think that this is just prejudice on my side because I've only seen him in his skits, and then I've only seen him doing his skits with filters, right? So obviously, I was already prejudiced against him. So, but seeing him lean into this characterization, owning the asshole guy. And it's like I think Mr. C said, it wasn't exactly an asshole. It was just doing his thing. He just felt like everybody should do the same thing. Like, so more like he wasn't quick to offer grace to other people, especially people who it feels like he's superior to by the virtue of the fact that he speaks better or he knows better. Or in this instance, because the virtue of that he speaks better than everybody, he just assumes that you have to be better. So, anyways, so I like the characterization, at least from the first um act of this story. I liked how this comedy initially leaned into getting an actual structure and not just depending on the actor doing all the heavy lifting. I mean, except for the improvs. So, what else do I like about this? I like that this is not the first time we're seeing this kind of story. I mean, we've already referenced what's it called, Liar Liar, but I like that. I don't have a problem with trying to replicate a Hollywood story in Nollywood, no, but I always wanted it to be localized, and which was what Razz Guy did. Like, it was very localized. Everything is relatable. If you've never seen the reference movie, the Hollywood reference movie, it really doesn't matter because you're just gonna go into it and then you're just going to have fun. Of course, yeah, was it a little bit good? Yes, but notwithstanding, it was a really strong story and a really strong performance from last season. So what else do I like? I like that the production value wasn't doing too much, right? So we're not leaning into the sound effects to force the comedy. We're not leaning into like shiny lights or doing too much with the lights or shiny objects, right? They were just sound good enough, apart from one iffy scene in the beginning, but sound generally good. Production value generally good. So yeah, so those are the little things that I like. What else do I like about that guy? Butchie Franklin, yes, yes. Oh God, that was awesome. I really laughed. That was also a very good person there. So we have pockets of people who came, gave us strong performance, including the intern, the boss, except the girlfriend. But that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I agree. I remember watching. I noticed a couple of ADRs in there, but like one thing that we haven't been doing very well is getting the ADRs to match sort of at least the kind of the sounds that is coming out from the films. And from just a technical point, like I think with the exception of I can't remember even that first part, but like they didn't always match the sort of lips or what they were saying for obvious reasons. But one thing that usually takes me out is whenever we do ADR in Nollywood, they tend to sound like a completely different mic source, post production process, and that's the thing that usually takes me out. Like if a lot of these weren't sort of like if I didn't catch a lot of these things not really matching up with their lips, I wouldn't have noticed the ADR. So I thought that was really interesting. Really interesting to see. And yeah, I would say like it's interesting that I'd be saying this at this point. Maybe this might sound like shade, but it isn't, because I just realized that as I was watching this, because like in some places where I think somebody talked about the lighting, was it Mariah or Elizabeth or both talked about the lighting, especially when the jazz effect was happening. Instead of doing like CGI, which let's face it, we're just not there yet with Nollywood. They used practical lighting and they did a really nice trick with it. Like all of this was done very well, and I appreciated that part. But yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. I think Mel. I think it's Mel. Mel, please.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So, few things that I liked about it. I liked that it established the need for the curse. I think Elizabeth might have touched on this a tiny little bit, but I like that it established the need for the curse. So when the curse was happening, like I was pumped, I was ready, I saw it coming. I agreed, right? I agreed that he needed to be taught a lesson. By extension, I also liked that there were rules for it. I think this would also show up in my bad, but I really like that there were rules for it. That we knew that if he got a third slap, he was going to be cursed. So I like that that was established really early on. I liked that. I liked Lassis's performance. I thought that like in the parts where it mattered, like he came through really, really strongly. At the watch party, we're talking about the subtlety about the of the change from being Razz to being posh again. That was just so well done, I thought. So I really liked that. I liked that it was funny in parts, and like when it was funny, it was really funny. I liked that it was funny, it was engaging. I think my final like would be Richie Franklin as well. Not just his performance, but I think also just the character that he embodied. I thought that just the beautiful irony of being an advert and speaking and reaching Queen's English, I thought was really funny. I also really enjoyed. I thought it was refreshing as well, that it was well done. Yes, I thought it was refreshing that the accent was well done. Yeah, those were my likes.
Thanks, Mel. Yeah, a lot of common things with everybody. It sounds like everybody just loving Bucci's performance, but yeah, very much understandable. So, Fida, please tell us the things you liked about the Razz Guy.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I really enjoyed the Razz Guy movie. I watched it last night, just in time for this Twitter space. So what I'll start with is the storyline. I'm always looking at the screenwriters that write the films, and I thought that the storyline was quite tight and quite easy to follow. It had its ups and downs, but everything really flowed through from beginning to the end, and it was kind of like a nice, well-gifted present, in my opinion. So that was nice. Lassisi's character in the beginning, and I wrote something about it to note it down. In the first 8 minutes, I think he was very believable in how uptight his character was and very intimidating and trying to put people down based on their diction and grammar. And one thing I've noticed with actors, especially if they are skits, if they make skits online, is that some find it hard to be a persona outside of that skit persona that they have. But with Lassisi, I felt like he really was that character. He really embodied who he was meant to play. From when he was the uptight boss to when he became the Razz Guy, it still was him playing Timmy, not Lassisi being Lassisi playing a Timmy character. So that's very important for me when I watch actors play outside a role that you've seen them and you've gotten used to them playing. Then moving on to Bucci, I felt like I was so shocked. I didn't expect that character. It was very much a wild card, which I really loved. And I found myself running to Twitter to check whether somebody had said that, oh, they put a voiceover over his voice. It wasn't really him speaking and all of that. I really enjoyed his scenes. I really enjoyed how he acted, and I think that he's such a good actor as well. And I love that, despite him not having such a big role, it's really not about how big a role is. It's about what you can do with the role, and I think that he bodied that. So that's what I liked about the movie. I'll say a bit about Nancy and the ladies. I don't feel like this was Nancy's really okay, we're supposed to say what we like, but I feel like
Yes.
Yeah,
okay,
we'll go
we're
to
supposed to
the
say what we
second
like.
thing.
Okay, no worries. So these are things that I liked. I liked that it was a feel-good movie. I love how it ended. It really left on a high. I love the switch from him being, him realizing the development of his character, where he had to change his ways, and him apologizing and doing all of those things, and how the meeting went, and the switch from that to him just speaking. It really just flowed and was very organic. And I love the little dance in the hallway when he was on. It was like all those movies that you watch, that all those feel good Hollywood movies that you watch where somebody has gone through something and they're having that moment of jubilation. The music was right, the vibe was right. It really was that thing. So the ending where it ended up in the mom's house like that, it was really a nice way to end the movie from start to finish. I feel like it was such a good movie to watch, and I would actually watch it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Fida. Well said. Another Pucci mention amongst many, but again, feel good is actually, yes, it's very much like that, and I think that's exactly what it was. Exactly what it was going for, and I'm glad to see that it achieved it. Okay, let's try. Well, people's networks are messing up today. Let's try Cynthia. Cynthia, let's see if your network will hold out.
Oh yes. Oh yes, hold up. So like I don't know what people have said now, but let me just say what I wrote. Um at first, looking at the title, I did not think I was going to like the movie. So let me put it out there. Like the Razz Guy, even the poster, like I was like, oh, let's see how it will go. So first of all, I like the setup of Lassisi's character in the beginning. Like we could tell, or we could see that it was an asshole, and that was because the script was good, and everybody's acting then was good. His acting, Aisha's acting, the intern, Perez, so everything contributed in me believing that this guy is an asshole. Then I also liked that they had rules. So I think when I joined, I heard Elizabeth saying it's like an Hollywood script, yes, but it also had the Nigerianness in it. So in the rules, the snapping of fingers 3 times. Then I liked when he was in his home with Aisha, Bimpe, and Brother Shaggy's character, and Aisha snapped his finger, and I remember that, oh, this snapping of the finger is what brought me into this condition where I'm not behaving like an aberrant.
Then I also like the use of words. So in recent time, I've watched, this is the second Nollywood movie I'm watching where they use the word in the title. So when he was screaming, I am Raz, and oh, this title is Razz Guy, so this is matching. I liked when it was still in the house and with brother Shaggy, and it was like, oh yeah, hit me. Like we in Nigeria know that that is brother Shaggy's word, and when he said, oh yeah, hit me, it got the beating. So then Accent, it's not supposed to be a big deal, but because I've watched two movies with Uzoarikwe trying to over exaggerate the Igbo assets. I liked the Ikena's character. You could tell he's an Igbo man. He didn't need to like go deep or force it. It was subtle, it was sweet. You could tell this is an Igbo accent, no over exaggeration. Also, Bimbe Yoruba accent was also nice until when she started shouting with brother Shaggy, and I was like, I beg. Then attention to detail. So Lassisi's character, when it became Raz and he started speaking his broken English or scattered English, I liked when in the scene he was speaking well and he thought his English was back and he was like, oh, my speech is back, it has returned. So it was like a very good script and a good laugh. Then also because I used to be a stammerer before, I know when you have speech difficulty, you try to pick one word to explain or to summarize what you want to say. So when he was giving his first presentation and he doesn't want to be saying return there, didn't it, and all those words, I liked how he was using one word to summarize what he wants to say because I mean that's the reality of a lot of people that have speech difficulty. The whole loyalty insurance Uibo. Then yeah, so Lassisi's acting was good. Then the medical doctor. So Charles, this acting or the part I liked was when he met the three girls and he was using medical blunder to confuse them when he was describing Lassisi's situation. And it was actually using correct medical blunder, but it was funny because it was using it to confuse them. So I like that. Then Aisha too, acting, I liked her reaction to things, her facial expression, her mood, the Aisha's character, I don't know her name. Her mood and everything, it like carried like I could tell what was going on from her facial expression and everything. I also liked Ibrahim Perez, yeah, Ibrahim, he acted very. I also liked his acting and also his mood and everything. Then the intern, Shaliwa, the Eve babe. So in the beginning, our acting was what even helped me to believe that this guy is an asshole. And also I felt like her acting was good. Then Bushi Franklin, I'm so sure everybody must have said it. I also liked I liked the scene where they met each other, and you would not expect the Queen's English, but when the Queen's English came out, it was like you're seeing a tale of two opposite sides, and it was good. Then, when he was speaking the Queen's English, and he mentioned flabbergasted, devastated, I don't even know what it means. Then, later when he met up with Lassisi, and he has gotten his Aboro back and he was speaking. Then he had this thing where he had to tune to try to like see if I can fake this Queen's English, and he was forcing the word conscience, the word devastated. So it's something that happens really in reality, and yeah, so it was good to see that in the script. Yeah, so that's what I have.
Excellent. Just reminding us of some gem of some gems in the film. Yes, the rest flabbergasted. What does that
I
mean?
don't even know what that means.
I don't even know what that means. Yeah, that was a great line. Oh man, which yeah, we wish you could. But I think something about that is there are two things. I guess there's number one, the way that bit was shot because we see Bucci and he has to look menacing and rough, like he actually is. So it's not even done. It's not done to just for the joke. It also fits right in the context of the film. It also fits perfectly in context of the film because he is an Agbero and or Egbero, and so like he should look like that. But and then when he goes in, the way they've set it up, the music they've played, the way they've the camera has shown him, like when he opens his mouth, that's the punchline, right? It's the whole setup has been done before, and that's all. That's part of filmmaking. It's some things that we tend not to see. It's like this is this was that part was very much fun. As to some of the intricacies of how he was speaking, like Cynthia talked about, like picking words and from Lassisi's point of view, remember cover. It sounded like sounded like a pastor in that instance. Yeah, and even when Bucci was coming back and he was trying to learn from his more posh self and using words, yeah, all of that was a lot of fun, and that's what happens when I guess you spend some time on the script. All right, Anika, did you want to tell us the things you enjoyed?
Yes. Okay. I really like this movie. It's not on my like, oh, it's okay, whatever movie. This movie is actually good. The writing of this movie is actually good. The comedy is great. And I also love this movie because it deals with language and meaning and the way we form language and what sorry, I'm doing linguistics something, right? And how language is in society and all the things that language brings, the way you speak, all this thing talks about the things in like different societies and all the thing and all that. And it is also one of my pet peeves. Okay. It's one of my pet peeves because I'm just like, because most times the way people speak is the way people treat people. People think people are stupid because somebody doesn't speak the Queen's English or something, or all these things, or all these little kind of things that get it. It's one of my greatest pet peeve. Like, why do people do that? Like, it's ridiculousness and it's about power and all that stuff. And I love this movie. This movie is just perfectly. It's not trying to do. It's not trying to change anything. It's not. It's not necessarily even saying the most profound. But let me be careful with my words because I realize I'm sometimes I go. What I'm trying to say is not profound, as in like it's not actually saying the most like deep thing. I don't mean deep as in a bad like it's not very very something. I'm just saying that it's saying something that it's very obvious that everybody knows, right? Even that's better. Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying. It's saying something that is very obvious that everybody knows, but even though everybody knows something, doesn't mean we hacked on on the thing that we obviously everybody knows, like, right? So, this movie is not changing anything, but it is so good, even as just a film, as a technical film, something like the writing. First, the writing is good, right? The only plot point that I think that they didn't probably come back to that I would have personally liked was the very annoying auntie, the rich elitist nonsense auntie. I wanted her to kind of get a sort of comeuppance at the end, but they dropped that. But it's okay. Almost every other plot point that is important, the emotional beat of the movie, they met it. They met every emotional beat of the movie. Even like even when the main character, sorry, I've forgotten all the names right now because the main character, right? When he is learning that maybe you shouldn't be judging people based on the way of the use of the words. You can even like on that, right? It still regresses, right? When he was about to introduce his sister to his girlfriend, who is this rich girlfriend that he thinks he can never get, you can tell that this guy worked hard to get to where he was, right? This is why he's trying to protect the something. He doesn't come from the same class level as all these other people that he found himself in, and he's trying to protect it. And all this, it comes from all that. You can tell all those things. And when he decides, okay, yes, my girlfriend is actually very nice. By the way, somebody has already mentioned the fact that they didn't make the girl a shrewd, because this is what they normally do in this type of stories, and that's good. The girlfriend is actually a nice person, and from the very beginning, we knew she was a nice person because she didn't say anything to her brother, and she was very nice to the maid. Is actually a nice person and is willing to just meet the meet the sister. It's still his own insecurity allowed him to harm his sister and cause his sister to have the something. Like the setup, the sister takes the bread, takes the drink whenever, like they've always done this. So all these callbacks in just writing a script and then remembering that you wrote that and then doing that filming, it's just basic genius. Like this movie is a really good movie. Whether you show it anywhere else in the world, people will connect with this movie. It's just the height of competence, and just this is why I want to ask the question: what is wrong with other filmmaking? What is wrong with this? This is like there's nothing. It's nothing fantastic. It's nothing like it's not Oppenheimer or whatever the hell movie that is about to come out.
Yeah, the
It's
Nolan
not
one.
that. It's not that. It's not Gone with the Wind. It's not like some big absolute lead. It's not that. In fact, it kind of has some hallmarky something about it, right? You just learn to be a good person and judge people by the context of their characters instead of like some. It's that type of movie. It's like Disney. It's like Disney Channel, but of an eye or something. That like morals at the end of it, and it's so well done. It is so well done. I am so impressed, and I'm just like wow, because this is what I'm saying. Like we can do this type of movies, and these are the type of movies that talks. It's very localized within Nigeria. Like all the talking points is very localized, but at the same time, everybody around the world can get it, because everybody understands. Okay, yes, the English speaking and the British English speaking, we live in a colonial time. Everybody understands that. They understand even within their own countries, they have ways of speaking that they will be like, oh, da 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 da. Da. They will understand. Yes, this is something that really do happen, and they will connect to all this story. It's a universal story that is also incredibly localized, and it's a well-made something. It's well made. It's almost like they paid attention at every process of the production to what's going on, and it's nothing big. It's nothing. It doesn't have the money production of like maybe other bigger movies in Nigeria. It's just amazing. Like I remember, I'm like laughing. I laughed my butt off. I laughed my butt off. I was like, this movie is made. All the plot points, almost all the plot points are connected. Almost every single thing. It does lead to callbacks. It does even the music, even this music, even yeah, there's some sound issues, whatever. I didn't even really notice that because even the music and the sound design meets what we see on the screen. And it's just amazing. This is not my like, oh, because this is eye confidence. This is eye confidence. This is on very, very well made. So that's what I have to say.
Thanks,
Thank
Inka. Yeah, high praise for this movie. All right. Vanessa, wait, hang on, no, not Vanessa. Vanessa just came. Sorry, I'm just hitting you. The other people, Shagun, and then Atas, and then Vanessa. Shagun, are you there?
We want to know your favoritism.
All right, so we're jumping over.
Shagun seems like he's been having
Atas.
Hello.
Hi, hello.
Okay. I did find some parts of it genuinely funny. I think a couple people have mentioned the, British English Agbera thing. So that was genuinely hilarious and well thought out. I struggled, so I'm struggling right now. But yeah, it was funny, and I thought it was very generous of Tyler Perry to lend them some wigs. So yeah, that's it. Bye.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay. All right, I think Shakin's coming back. Atas doesn't seem to have too many words for the Razz Guy. That's fine. Anika, what are you giving us? Oh, no, Anika, sorry. Shagun. Wow, just not on the ball today. Vanessa, before Vanessa came, I was actually focused.
Yeah.
Yes. Shagun, can you actually speak? Hang on.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hey, my people. Hey. Okay, where do I start from? You see, I don't like. I've not been a fan of Nollywood for a while, but this movie, I missed the watch party, so I was like, you know what? Let me not stress myself. But then again, I said, okay, let me just go watch it. Since we want to be taking this whole critic thing seriously, I said, let me just watch it. So I had to pause work. And I started. So immediately the opening minutes, what drew me in was sound. The music was good. The music was balanced. I said, oh, okay, I might be able to enjoy this. And then the movie started, and God, I've never watched anything so hilarious in a while. I was laughing, I was crying. At some point, I had to pause and take time, and I was like, it is a Nollywood movie I'm watching like this, you know. Now, of all the good things, I don't think there are too many bad points, but I really loved. First of all, the story was straightforward and it was well executed. Sound effects they used at every point, every part was on point. Lasisi, I think what we're seeing here is I've never been a fan of just having people that did not go to film school for acting or acting school, any major acting school. I usually don't take them seriously, but I feel like because of the experience and the time spent on skits, most of these guys have really built that that whole acting. What should I call it now? They've built a skill, so to speak. I think Lasisi delivered on his character, because his character started to annoy me in the beginning. I was like, what's doing this guy? And then Frank Donga, yes, he delivered, even though he didn't play too many minutes in the movie. Frank Donga really delivered on his parts, and with the whole curse and everything. I was following the thing, and I was enjoying the steps they were taking. And then, yes, I'm sure everybody has spoken about Solomon Bucci. I'll tell you that I was preparing for something else. Can you hear me?
Bucci Franklin. I think I got the wrong Bucci.
You said, sorry, Bucci. Sorry, I said Solomon. Sorry, don't mind me. Sorry, the Bucci guy. I was preparing for something else, because the way they set it up, the camera moves, again, sound. I was ready for something else. Funny, I was not ready for maybe anything like a thriller, but I was ready for something foolish. But this was not what I was expecting. You know, maybe I thought maybe he would swing the thing and then it will hit somebody, or maybe he will speak and his voice will be a very thin mouse-like voice. That was, you know, because I had already started calculating, thinking ahead, like, okay, let me predict this thing. Nothing prepared me for the accent. My God, I was crying at that point. I'm like, why? That was like a right hook. It just took the whole movie to it spun the whole movie to a different level. The Perry guy, Ibrahim is a very talented actor, so it's a no-brainer. He delivered well. I didn't have any issues. I mean, immediately I saw the dynamics between himself and Timmy. I could see that Ibrahim is someone that takes his work seriously. Lolo acted as Bimbo. It was good. If I was going to have a problem with it, it was maybe when the shouting I'm not a fan of shouting.
I'm not rich. I'm not rich.
Not yet.
I'm not
I'm
rich.
okay. We're not rich. Okay, fine. So yeah, so that yeah, and then the oh my God, Nancy. Nancy was, I loved it because she played that role of almost like, I don't know whether I should call it a dumb blonde. Her character with the way she pitched her voice and everything was giving me all these Snow White vibes, all these fairy tale vibes. I'm like, okay, it's good. It's a different look from the regular characters that we see. I really enjoyed her part. Who else? What else? Yes, the hospital scenes. And this was what, I was comparing to other films that we've critiqued, especially with the whole being lazy with it. The hospital scene, even though they could not set up certain things, they really didn't need to set up anything to make it look like a hospital per se. But you see, if you notice, there was that beeping sound, like something like maybe the heart monitor or something in the background that just made the viewer feel like, okay, yes, he's truly in the hospital. That was really well done. I think they really did their homework when it came to sound, because I think sound played a major role in transporting us and placing us within every scene, from the hospital to the pastor's part, from the pastor's part to where they arrived at the same guy, but now he's the witch doctor thing, with the whole lighting changed. And then when the curse was placed, that was good. The use of sound, they didn't go overboard, but they delivered. Everybody understood what happened. It gave me animation vibes. Most of all these top shot animations that we watch, the way it was planned out, it gave me those vibes. And then I love the progression up to when he realized things were going badly and he realized that he had to change something. And I love the continuity, and I love the way they made it flow naturally. They didn't try to just cut from, okay, he has been doing rubbish, to he suddenly started doing okay. There was a progression that we followed that was pretty much, that was very good. And then finally, I think I loved the post-credit scene. It was just beautiful. I'm like, giving us Marvel vibes. The post-credit scene was very, very dope. And then the way they featured Frank Donga at the end and the point to try to carry across. It was a beautifully done movie. I'm so impressed. I don't know. I'm going to have to watch it. I'm going to watch it again. Maybe watch it second time to now pick out faults. But I don't think nothing stood out to me. Really, nothing really bad stood out to me. I thoroughly enjoyed it, which is very surprising. It's well done to them. I'm looking forward to, if they're going to do anything, I'll be following that particular production company closely, hoping that they do a thriller, because I know that with the effort they've put in this, they know what they are doing. They know their onions, and anything else they put out, I'm sure I will enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, Jagger. All right, no, I think it's worth following the writer and the director's work. I think even I can't remember the director's name. I think he did 3 Thieves, which was also a decent fun watch. And then the writer has co-written some of my favorite Nigerian movies as well. So yes, worth following them, their work. All right, Vanessa.
This is what I get for coming late. I feel like everybody has said a bunch of stuff, and now I'm going to be repeating what everybody has said. But yeah, I actually, to a large extent, liked this film, and I enjoyed it. I laughed quite a bit. Maybe not at the scenes that they thought I was going to laugh at, but let me be positive now. The writing overall was pretty good, especially in the first act, introducing us to Lassisi's character and why that character needed to be cursed. Because otherwise, we would be wondering, what did the man do that everybody shipping for him? But it did a really good job at introducing us to his character, laying the foundation for why this curse needed to occur. and how, and the stuff that led to that curse happening during the day or days. I don't know how many days it was, but which brings me to my very next thing. I loved the subtlety with how the curses, with how the curse was shown and carried out. Because a lot of us do it. Amanche, we do. I will catch you. You know, and we don't necessarily mean it to be a curse. It's just something we do. And that's the thing that Unika was saying about it being very localized. You know, doing this to somebody is so Nigerian, you know. Me say if I go do my own back or I'm coming for you. It's just a very Nigerian thing to do. And to make that be the sequence that leads to the curse was beautiful. No need for extra effects and lightning and thunder and turning around and all of that for the simplicity of a curse to just be 3 snaps. What else did I really like? Oh, I liked Lassisi's performance when it was obvious that it was the script that was being used. Maybe because of how well it was written, it was so easy for him to give such a good performance. He was really, really strong in that opening. In the first act was beautifully done. I feel like everybody's talked about Butchie Franklin, but I feel like at this point, I'm tired of people just saying Butchie Franklin is great. Butchie Franklin deserves the world. Butchie Franklin deserves to be leads in different films. Butchie Franklin deserves more than what Butchie Franklin has right now in with regards to the roles that he's playing. I genuinely want to be called an Igbero. It just sounds a lot more nicer than being called an Agbero. I already think I'm myself and I'm an Agbero, but I mean, being called an Agbero just takes it like up a notch. The accent shocked me, and you know, a few times Nollywood does things for shock value, and it falls down flat because then it's just shock value for nothing. But this did something to show this world that we were in. So this was a world in which these curses occurred. This man was just walking around, doing stuff to people, and it wasn't just that Lassisi was an exception. The fact that I expected him to sound the way he sounded after the curse had been lifted, and then that voice just comes out of that face, and it throws you off for a bit, but it solidifies that story, and it aided well. At least I thought it did. That conversation with Lassisi was what, you know, sowed the seed for what was the beginning of our main character's growth. Like Shegun, I also appreciated the fact that his growth wasn't overnight. Case in point, the scene where he gives his sister the ridiculous potion from the herbalist just so he can stop her from speaking when his girlfriend comes to the house. So yes, he's beginning. I mean, in the beginning of the film, he did not want his girlfriend to meet his sister, but now he's taking a step and he's allowed them meet each other. But he's not that great. The fact that someone had a second conversation with him doesn't mean he's going to change overnight. So that just felt very in line and in keeping with the character that was developed, that was shown to us in the first act of the film. What else did I really like? Oh. I liked seeing Yemi Sholade. I feel like did anybody talk about Yemi? Because I haven't seen Yemi in a bit. I miss Yemi's face. Can people give Yemi a comeback, please? Nollywood cast him in films. I missed Yemi, and it was nice to see. I'm sorry. I'm a huge nostalgia person. I like seeing people from the past. So I mean, please, you should put Yemi in films. Oh, speaking about nostalgia, you see the scene where Charles Esubaby was explaining the supposed medical condition to his friends, well, his girlfriend and her friends. Honestly, it just reminded me of that scene with Kate Henshaw when she was speaking to Kenneth Okonkwo about being a legal luminary and all the plenty English that she was speaking. And I don't know, for whatever reason, that scene just felt like a callback to that scene as well. And maybe it wasn't, But it just felt nice for me in my head to make that connection. But I came on Twitter and I said this is the type of comedy that we need in Nollywood. Because quite frankly, I haven't laughed at anything that Nollywood has put out intending for it to be funny. Um, and maybe it's the writing, maybe it's the type of comedy that Nollywood thinks Nigerians like. But this just felt like what Oyinkan was saying, like a very localized story, but felt very universal. And honestly, it's not just with comedy. I feel like that's the point of filmmaking, is choose universal talking points, a universal concept, a universal story, and just make it localized. That's what makes stuff funny. The reason why people love How to Ruin Christmas, the wedding and the funeral, is because these are globalized concepts. A wedding and a funeral, everyone has those. But what makes it hilarious is making it localized to what is very South African, you know? So stories like that are the stories that actually have heart, because then everybody can relate to it, even if they genuinely don't understand. Maybe they don't understand the jokes or the bases for those jokes. We get it because we're Nigerian and that's sort of our humor. But because it's a globalized concept, then everybody else will find that heartwarming to a certain extent. So I guess we're back to Nollywood lacks heart. But I hate to say it, but a lot of Nollywood films just feel like they do stuff that's supposed to give the film half heart, but just approach it at a very surface level. And so it just feels very contrived. I would like for, I know this is being me sounding preachy, but more heartwarming stuff. Just give your film, chock it full of heart, and then we would enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you, Vanessa. And I think spoke to some of the things that Fida said earlier on about sort of how feel good films, and this certainly was in that vicinity. And yeah, you're right. We haven't had too much. Breaded Life, I think, is one a lot of people really rock with as well in that form. All right, well, we're about to enter the negatives. All right, Elizabeth has her hand up. I don't know if you had something you wanted to say before that. We entered the negatives. All right, Elizabeth. But just in case it's not a negative, you want to say, I want to say one that probably not a lot of people would have said, but like we've praised some of the sound in this. This is just a thing going on in Nollywood currently. Our footsteps for sound design, I don't know why it's still quite bad. It's still kind of bad. Every time we need to turn it down like half the current sound, maybe even more than that, maybe 75% off of the current sound we're on, because it sounds cartoonish where we are at this point. I know that's not a thing that bothers a lot of people, but that's what I'm saying is earlier on. All right, so Elizabeth, what did you want to say?
Okay, so I know I've said what I liked, but I really want to make another point. And at the risk of sounding like I'm raving about this movie, which, yeah, because 2 weeks ago we reviewed another comedy that I felt was well written, but all the jokes fell flat. I want to praise the director of this movie. I feel like Udoka Yoga should be making a whole lot more comedies. So what set this movie apart? Because after watching this and I thought about it, like what set it apart from the last comedy that we reviewed is that it's got the directing very tight. Like the decisions the director took for every single scene is what paid off in this movie, right? Because the last movie we read also wasn't a movie as such that relied heavily on physical comedy. It also relied on witty lines and maybe the actors carrying it through. But in this particular movie, we got a very solid performance from the lead actor, and we also got a good script. But what tied it together was the director, because if you look at it, as we have all talked about, every single decision just made this movie work. Look at when he got his speech back. It was even when his boss was calling him back, but he was so excited, and he did that slide out of the office. It was in everything. It was in what the decision, to shoot what and how to shoot it. So I'm raving about, and I'm giving the kudos to the director of this movie.
Okay.
So that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. You just remember, I haven't even said the things that I liked. I guess I've said it as people have gone along. I don't know. I feel like probably by now everybody has touched on everything I liked. I think I've talked about practical effects, where I think some people would have been tempted to use CGI that looks a little worse. It's nice to just have a script where it's nice to have a thing where a comedy, a Nigerian comedy, where the script is doing the funny, and you're not just relying on Instagram comedians or people to ad lib the funny. Now, we're about to get into the bad, and I think there is some of that here, and we can talk about that. But for the most part, there are a lot of jokes that are written in, and I mean just written in on the script, and they're written by people who I really just dig their style of comedy, their sense of humor. There's some good camera work in some places. I think there's a brief walk and talk, which is really well done. There's just effort put into the script, the details, the finer details, the things that sometimes we just, he says something complicated and then she says something complicated. No, the script will tell you, oh, this babe used negative words, the exact negative words that, you would expect a newbie to say, an intern to do. It's kind of a mistake an intern could make, using negative words in an office documentation, and he's correcting, no, we don't use this word. It's not like they're wrong. They're just like, it's not the thing that you might know if you haven't worked in an office place. So it was just nice to see like actual office environment. It was just nice to see somebody care about those details, and that's how I feel actually throughout this movie. Whatever issue I have is that where I see the script, I see it. I see care and thought put into those smaller things that that usually we just glance or we even sometimes when we want to do something like the details, we pick shallow ones, something that almost everybody has talked about, like I've seen on Twitter and has carried 100,000 likes or retweets, and like that's the thing they use in the movie. Like no, like somebody sat down, did a little bit of research, and added things to give it some meat. There's some good camera work here. Director really understood the work for what he wanted to do. It's not fantastic, but like it's good, and it's just nice to see in a comedy. So yes, I guess that's my good stuff done. All right. All right, so we're going into the bad. Let's start with For No Reason Whatsoever, Otas.
Very subtle. Okay, so while I did laugh at some parts of this movie, I think that my overall takeaway was that it's just not my kind of comedy. And so I'm having a hard time saying stuff is bad or good because I feel like I'm just overall biased by, I guess, the kind of comedy I enjoy. That said, I was listening to everybody talk about how he learned a lesson, and I tried to recall, but I don't see that. It doesn't seem like he learns a lesson to me, because he doesn't even realize what he's done wrong until like 19 minutes towards the end of the movie, where that guy is talking to him at the bar, and has gotten his agbero whatever back, and so I don't see the lesson he learned. It seems like he found the answer to his problem and then just applied it liberally to everybody he could think of. Um, I hardly noticed costumes and stuff, but I didn't enjoy the costuming for this. Mostly the wigs, they were not my favorite. And I don't know. I just didn't like it. I think that it's mostly just not my comedy, but I found the last one we watched, what's the name of that movie again? With the mermaids and the
My Village People.
Right. So I found My Village People somewhat funnier than this movie. And I think I struggled with the lead. I found him more convincing in the second half than in the first half, but I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
The lead for
this one. So for I forgot the name of this movie. Yeah, the Razz Guy. Yes, the Razz Guy.
Yeah, just to confirm, you found bits of the Prophetess funny, right?
No, I found bits of not the Prophetess, Village People.
No, I know about My Village People.
Oh,
I'm just casting back my memory. You didn't say found
I
bits
didn't enjoy the Prophetess as much.
Okay, all right. Okay, just confirm. All right. So this style of humor wasn't for you. Okay. Let's see. You want to say something?
Yeah, can I go next, or do I have to wait?
You have to wait for our guests. Except if you want to piggyback off of something, but
yeah, I want to piggyback off the lesson thing. I kind of agree with that. I wouldn't say he didn't learn, but did he learn?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so like he could have learned it, but like it's not usually the way these things
go.
Work,
Yeah,
right?
because I like that. Obviously, there wasn't an automatic flip, right? I liked when he screwed his sister over, right? When he let her drink the thing and she couldn't speak. I was like, yeah, this is consistent with this character. We're not having an immediate switch. But yeah, we didn't get that arc of, you know what? Just because someone doesn't speak English the way, I do doesn't mean they shouldn't be treated with respect, something. We didn't really get that. He did really just take someone's past question and apply it.
It's one of the few places the script says it and doesn't show it.
Yeah.
Usually, a thing happens to the character, especially putting them. I thought that was the point of putting him in the skin of somebody who couldn't speak as well, is that, you see that there is more to life than knowing how to speak all of the English, but it doesn't happen to him. He just learns the way to get rid of the curse, and that's what it feels like, right? It doesn't feel like he's really learning about, you shouldn't, there's more to life than good English. It feels like he learns the way to get rid of the curse. So it feels like more of a loophole than anything really, which I agree with you that was something that I think it could have worked better on. All right. So Elizabeth, if you go next.
Okay, so the first thing that took me out in this movie, the first bad thing I noticed was Nancy's voice and Nancy's acting. See, let me tell you, Nancy's voice took me out, threw me out of the room and said, shut the front door. Because why was she talking like that? Why was she talking like this? What was happening with that voice? I was like, see, at this point, I thought it was on purpose in a case where she's going to be the razzest girl, right? I was like, nah, she's doing this so that they are going to pull one on us and say, oh, she's worse than he is, So I was really waiting for it, and then they showed us that she was from a portion. I was like, why? Because her character was so reductive, because she's supposed to be acting like this posh kid, something spoiled, I'm assuming, from the way she speaks. I don't know, because that is a similar characterization they would give a spoiled brat, right? Like a brat rather. So here it is, she's sounding like that, and you're saying she's naturally sounding like that, and if you're going to let her sound that way, now she sounded caricature. It means that you've reduced that characterization, right? She found a characterization reduced it to a caricature, and she ran with it. And the director allowed
Yeah.
her. Arrest that man. Because how did they allow that to happen? As in,
Yeah.
throughout, every time she opens her mouth, like she's throwing me out of the scene. Every time she opens her mouth, that entire scene becomes a joke. Like when she's
Yeah.
talking, you're like, what's going on? Because there was this scene where Charles, the doctor friend, he went to bamboozle all of them with the medicine jargons. And whereas the other friends were so convincing, like they were convincing their, nah, we don't believe. And she was believing. And it was not even about how she was believing. It is how I did not believe she was believing. Right? So she was the only odd person out in that scene, not because she wasn't supposed to be, or she wasn't doing what the script says she should do. It was because she wasn't even believable in her characterization, right? So
Mm.
Shaku Maximum said he liked that. I'm like, yeah, did you watch it?
No,
So
see, no. What I meant, what I think that character, sorry to cut you short, but that character was
no
not
problem.
meant to be spoilt brat type of. She was not meant to be egotistical spoilt brat. It's meant to be like a dumb blonde spoilt brat, oblivious of what is going on in the world. You went to one expensive school. You came back. You don't know how things they go. You had everything for you. You are not. It's not the sports brat of my parents can give me everything I want type of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I saw. That's what I saw. I just saw somebody that we have money. I met one boy. I met one fine boy, and da. What has happened? She doesn't want to question anything. She doesn't know what's going on, type of thing.
Okay.
That's what I feel. That's what I caught. That's what I got from the character.
Interesting. In this genre, when you usually give us a spoiler, oh, why am I getting echo? Okay. All right. Yeah, so when you usually give us a spoiled person like this, there's usually a point to like if you're gonna caricature her like this, and usually it's because our protagonist is gonna have to leave this person, right? Because like this person is just too obnoxious, right? Like to to be around. Like they're too shallow. They don't. And I know there were a couple of lines in there that made it seem like, oh no, like she may be with him despite him sounding the way he was sounding, but there was so much else in her performance that was just pointing towards the other way. And also like, especially when you go even to meet her family and stuff, like it just seemed like I was so sure they were going to do something with that character. The way Nancy was playing it, I was like, there's got to be something else to it, but like nothing happens. Nothing happens. It's just okay. She was just with him, and like she's not even like she doesn't really play. Sorry, Elizabeth, I know I've hijacked your point, but like
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
she doesn't really play like her being in this is almost inconsequential. She doesn't really help him do anything in the film. She doesn't guide him through it. It seems like she's an obstacle he has to get over because of the way he speaks and given the kind of person she is. But we've already established apparently that she's not supposed to care about it. Like I don't know what her point is really in this film, except that she was just annoying. Like she was playing this daft cartoon character. But Elizabeth, go on. Sorry.
So okay, anyways, away from Nancy and the fact that she was very inconsequential, another thing that I didn't like, as Ota said, was the decision with his character arc. So one thing I really like in movies is, especially movies like this where there is supposed to be some sort of redemption arc, is it's usually like a personal journey, or if it isn't personal, you can get like people to help you along the way, for that arc. So I feel like they wrote Bucci in for him, but Bucci didn't really do anything. So Bucci's work was like Jokes Machine, like it was hand of God, right? Like, oh look, do this, and then walked out. So I felt like it was too tidy, it was too neat, right? It was
it was like, yeah, so let's go fix this issue and end our movie. And I didn't like that, because as a star said something, it's not even majorly for me about learning his lesson as much as it has to do with that redemption arc that you're writing for him. So it has to come like person, like I felt like he should be making more conscious effort, like with the interns. Now it shouldn't be somebody telling him, here is the way, go through that door, right? I was expecting more like him getting tired of trying babalawo and aladra, and then say, you know what, flip this shit, I'm going to office, I'm going to just be kinder to my interns, right? Like maybe taking time to help Eve out on a presentation, instead of just gathering the interns into office and doing a, yeah, you guys are good, you're the best, whatever, get out,
He
you
did a
stay.
note
He did a note
apology.
apology. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't even give Eve a public apology. They just dismissed the rest of the interns after telling, ah, no, 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 you people are good. Ah, you people are good. And then say, Eve, I'm sorry, it's not like kiniko. You're good too. Oh, okay. We're all good. Yay, everybody good. So I just felt like it was too tidy, right? It was using the whole hand of God thing for that scene. It's not a decision in characterization, especially for a redemption arc that I would explore. What else did I not like? Otas pointed out that wig. So that being place wig, it was giving Tyler Perry that what's it called? Diary
Oh,
of a
it's like
Madman.
Shema Moore.
Shema Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was giving that thing. I'm like, yes, that was very distracting. And then also, I know that they couldn't have written so much for the improvs, right? And there were times where this movie was really funny for me when we're relying on the scripts, when Lasisi was performing, when everybody was performing. But the moment Shaggy enters the scene and it has to be an improv, because I know that nobody wrote those things that he was saying out of his mouth. Nobody wrote them down. So when it got to where our skit makers asked to skit things, you could see that I felt like the two words did not merge properly, right? The scripted world and then the improv world, it just did not merge. But when you see him when you see him with MC Lively, right? The two of them are doing their madness together and you're laughing, because again there was no scripting there, so it's just like two improv just improving, right? But then when you have the scripts in the same scene with them, nothing, that place, it just takes you out, so you're like on an elongated skit, and then you're back to the scripts, and then you're going back to the skits, and then you're back to the scripts. So that is another thing that I noticed about the movie that I didn't really like. What else did I? Yeah, so I felt like in bringing in the girlfriend's the stiff shirt family, like the upper class family into it, was supposed to do something. At first I thought, maybe it's to establish that she's actually a posh kid, but at the same time we could have also established that at the party. I mean, whatever party they were going to have, but you know what, but that's overall. That's not overall. I think at the end too, maybe because Nas's character isn't one that did anything. More like she was just almost inconsequential to whether she's there, whether she was not there. His redemption arc was going to be complete. It was not going to need her. It was not. Nothing was going to happen. She was already annoying, or rather it wasn't. Maybe the characterization was not annoying, but whoever was acting it was making the characterization even worse. So for me, I didn't feel that romance. In fact, at some point I was like, he could have gotten with Bucci and I would have applauded. They probably had more chemistry. So that's just it about that for me. Thank you.
All right. No, thanks, Elizabeth. I think that the part about certainly his learning was a thing for a lot of us. How he learned. Nancy's performance as well. Yes, those were all things that certainly bothered us. All right. Shaggy, do you have some? I think Shaggy said he kind of didn't have any. Should we come back to?
Yeah, no. I can just see mine and just get out of there. It's yes. I mean, what would make me give the entire movie an 8/10 will just be little stuff. As far as the story is concerned, it's a feel-good movie. This because a lot of times we talk about some very bad movies and we say, just turn your brain off when you're watching it and enjoy it type of thing. But with this, for me, it's enjoyable. Now, the little things about the character not delivering something or about the character arc, there's just so much you can do with the resources and then the individuals and the actors' experience, so to speak. There's a level of experience you have. I mean, even in Hollywood, there are some actors you cannot compare to Denzel. If there are some scenes that that it's only Denzel that can play it, no matter how prolific or no matter how badass a new age actor, maybe this actor is in leading roles now, no matter how good the actor is, no matter how many movies the actor has been in, there are certain characters that you cannot play unless you pick certain people, maybe like an L. Jackson or a Denzel. So for me, I think that based on the scripts and everything, they delivered. So the only issues are maybe some sound issues here and there, like the footsteps, which is still a bit more generic, which I think they should just take time out to, build a sound library. I think what a lot of all these production studios should do is take our time and build a sound library for the different types of effects you might have in different ambient sounds and all that. And then costuming for me did not really... costuming was not a bother. Costuming didn't stand out, but then again, it was not a bother because it's everyday life. It's not supposed to be like a Glamour Girls where you're supposed to now focus on the specifics to show actual glamour and luxury. So it was pretty basic, but it still worked for me. It could be better, but it still worked for me. Lighting in some places could be better. There are some places that were still giving me some sci-fi neon light club vibes, which it's possible, but I mean that could be worked on as well. And then the chase scene where they were chasing Frank Dunga and he suddenly disappeared. I didn't get closure from that scene, but what sealed that scene was Bucci. Bucci just made me forget that they were even chasing anybody at all. Bucci just threw me off. I'm like, oh, come on. I had forgotten that there was even someone, which is good, which is the shock value that we're talking about. But I mean, the chase seemed a bit weak, even when they bumped into the orange seller and all that. It could have just been a bit tidier. But like I said, from the beginning of the movie to the end, it was just quite enjoyable. It worked. Everything worked. There was nothing that was so out of place. So if you're going to now rate it, if you're going to pick out bad things, it will be because we want to sit down and critically analyze it, technical wise. So that's it for me on that end.
I have a question for you, Shagun. What does
yes, ma'am
have to do with resources?
Resources being that a lot of times, especially with even with romantic comedies, there's something I think they call an intimacy. What's it called? There's someone that is like an intimacy instructor or director or something that has to teach the two characters that are supposed to be playing, that are supposed to be romantically involved, supposed to teach them certain things and then understand whether they have chemistry or not, understand what kind of issues they might have, understand their psychologies and all that. And that takes time. So there's so much that resources come into play and that's one of the issues I think we have in Nollywood, especially with sound, where people can't go back and do ADR because you've booked your actor for a particular time period. The actor has something else to do. So whatever you're getting on set, make sure you get it on set. The actor doesn't have time to come back to a studio to come and revoice and spend another 2-3 days revoicing what he has already shot. So that's where resources come into play for me.
So I hear you, but I don't know what that has to do with the character arc, because there was no character arc written for the actor to act badly. It just doesn't exist. So
I think there's certainly an arc. I mean, like, I think just essentially the problem is because like he does, learn, right? But like if not like somebody told somebody told him, and that's just, it just feels unsatisfying, I guess. Anyway, from my
He didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
Someone just told him the answer and he implemented it.
yeah, exactly. He didn't learn it, but yeah, he got the answer. But
Yeah,
like,
you can say he didn't learn it, but we like he didn't learn it, but we saw that he understood that this was the consequence of stuff he had done, which for this particular type of film is enough. He understood. He understood eventually that this situation he was in was the consequence of how he had been treating people and all of that. It's a different case if he didn't know it
But
and he
I
just
don't
found a
think
solution.
that either. He just got an answer and then he
it's,
enacted the answer. Like
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no moment when reflects with the answer. They tell him the answer at the club. The next morning he's holding a conference meeting.
yeah.
So he
What?
went in search. He didn't go in search of the answer, but we saw that he was looking for an answer.
He was looking for an answer
So
because he didn't like the problem he was in.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
so
like
he
that's what it feels like. Is that like he just essentially he found a way to cure his affliction as opposed to learning that he shouldn't be an asshole to people, right? And it's like because like the way it typically works in film, and it's surprising because like this film certainly understands the genre it's in. You know, they make the reference to Liar Liar with Ibrahim's character when he comes in and talks about a lawyer who couldn't lie, and he calls him James, which is Jim Carrey's name, right? Or James, yeah, right. So like they understand the genre they're in, and that genre, and there's a bunch of there's a bunch of them right here. He gets into. I'm thinking about what's the one with where is it Chris Rock swaps body with
there's
somebody
also
says, yeah, there are tons of this genre. Yeah, the what the
where you can read women's minds and
yeah, there are tons of this film where like these people swap bodies or get these weird issue body swapping moments or weird powers, and they have to find a way to cure themselves. And the protagonists in this, they usually are trying to do what Lasisi is trying to do, which is find a way to alleviate themselves of this curse, this weird new thing that they're in, right? And what usually happens is that it doesn't work, and they have to learn how to actually just be a good person. They have to learn how to be a genuine person. There are times where they actually, because I was thinking when I was watching this, I was like, no, this can't be it, because like it's actually part of the genre that they would try something. They would try something just as artificial and shallow as this is like where with what he did is like, okay, like if let me just apologize to all my interns and that have been hashing them, it should be fine.
Which worked?
Yeah, I was genuinely thinking that's not going to work, and he's going to have to learn like, no, it's not just enough to just do that. You have to learn how to be. So that's the gear I think that was missing from this. But like again, that's why it feels less satisfying because number one, we know the genre you're going off of, and fine, you can change anything within the genre. You don't have to stick to anything, but you've chosen a less satisfying route to take. And I think that's where people have a problem with that arc, because like I was just like I was looking at it, it was 20 minutes. I was like, I don't know, my guy hasn't learned anything, or when is this when is this going to when is he going to change? When will things, because like even so one of the things we other thought we were going to learn is like maybe like the way it usually happens that on his journey now, like he will start going, if I could do this, or if something, like you start seeing the breadcrumbs. And I was like, I hadn't seen any breadcrumbs, which I think at some point somebody in the watch party was like, oh, it's nice that he hasn't changed overnight, right? And I was like, yeah, it's nice, but like there's 20 minutes to this film and we have no breadcrumbs on how this guy is going to change. And then it happened just because it was just, yeah, that was deeply unsatisfying. And it's part of like the sour taste in it's part of like what I feel like is a crash landing of such a good and strong start from this movie. The other thing is Nancy Isime is also supposed to be this getting married to Nancy Isime is also part of this feel good moment, but I didn't like that character, so I didn't want.
We didn't have any investment
I
in their
didn't care if
relationship.
yeah.
That was just
I didn't.
it was so much blahness. It wasn't even blah.
It's not
Like
blah. I
her
didn't like
portrayal
her.
was bad. Yeah,
I
it was just
I was hoping he would end up with somebody else, like
anybody
because
else.
that's like you borrow from the genre, right? Again, like you can decide to go a different way. You don't have to do everything this genre did, but like if you're gonna do on it, you should probably improve it or go away
Yeah.
that like will resonate. Maybe that twist of we're going to give you a really shallow character, and but they will still end up with the person. Maybe that was the purpose, but like there's a reason
Like
why.
maybe you find out there's a reason why she portrays herself the way she does.
Yes.
You find out something new about her character. Maybe meeting her family is some sort of hurdle, right? That he has to cross with the grammar, and there has to be some importance to her character and her character being shallow or seeming shallow, but there's just nothing.
There was just nothing.
It was just baby voice and vibes.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that was something issue with that. All right. We're getting Mel. Mel, are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
So I definitely agree with Otad and you as well. He didn't have an arc. I think that he needed to have some type of arc. I think that the way that the script set it up at the beginning, needed him to have an arc. That's what there was supposed to be a payoff. If you take me through people just like regretting like talking to him in a day and like cursing him, and there being this final change curse happening, there has to be something that makes up for who he was at the beginning. There has to be payoff. I think that's just, I don't even know how to explain the words. There has to be some type of payoff. And there wasn't. And I thought that this should have been. But another reason why I didn't like that he didn't have an arc is that it distorts the rules that have been established at the beginning. You do something, there's a consequence. You do something, there's a consequence. And all of the things that he was doing, there weren't things that he was necessarily aware of or intentionally engaging in, right? So how is there no consequence at the end? Because just to start with, I don't agree that his correction was him finally doing the what's it called? I'm sorry, I've been working all day. My brain is empty. But
the apology to the Indians.
Yeah, but like the deck for his sister.
Yes. Okay.
I don't agree that should have been the correction. I really truly don't. But I think especially because there's nothing that said that he did it out. He refused to do it maliciously. We know that he has like a really big presentation on Monday. It makes all the sense in the world that he would be focusing his energies on that. But he also has like interns and people that like he oversees at work. Like this man was a busy man. He cared about his job. He cared about being on point with his job. It makes all the sense in the world that he would be too invested in his job to have spare time to help his sister, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? So him eventually doing it for his sister isn't any type of correction to me, because he didn't say no because he was just being mean or being like he's been an ass in this movie so many times. But the time when he says no to his sister doesn't come across as being an ass. In fact, he even gives her an alternative and says, let's hire somebody. And she says, no, why should I hire somebody when I have you? I think she was being selfish. I don't think that is any type of correction for any wrongdoing that he had seen in the beginning. And so that is just, Elizabeth referred to it as tidy. I don't. I think the word that I think, the phrase at least that I think about is a cop out. The movie misses or it neglects to like do all of the things, to do all of the setup. Like it spends a lot of time establishing the rules, establishing consequences, and then at the end it just gives up and just does nothing and just brushes over it. That was very frustrating for me. Very, very, because it could, for instance, we see him develop respect for Ibrahim's character. The first time we meet him and we meet Ibrahim, every time Ibrahim opened his mouth to talk, he's by the side, just like being disrespectful and just like not caring that he had anything of value to offer. But when it comes to when he needs Ibrahim to help him, to partner with him, to make sure that the presentation goes well, he learns to respect him, to be appreciative of him, to recognize his value. See, that was the perfect time to teach us something, to teach him something, right? And it's not forced. It's something that has already been established. He has a presentation. He can't do the presentation because he's Razz now. He can't do the presentation. He has to look to the person that he's all through up until this moment been looking down on. It teaches him humility. He has to learn something. So it wouldn't have been out of field to set it up in such a way that every interaction he's had with the interns post him being Razz teaches him as well, right? Every interaction he's had with his girlfriend who's being Razz teaches him like this could have happened and not just been some random, oh, what did you do? This is the random thing that I did. Even the Agbero not paying his brother's school fees didn't come across as malicious. Sometimes people have very limited viewpoints. If being an Agbero is all he knows, then it's this sort of safety he would gravitate towards. And he wouldn't believe that like going to school would give his brother like a lot more success or safety or anything. Like it makes sense. If you squint your eyes, it makes sense. So it wasn't malicious. So how is that a correction for anything? Anyway, I feel like I've overflogged this point. I didn't understand his sister. I did not. I agree that take Nancy's character out and like we still have a movie. I feel like take his sister out as well, and we still have a movie. The accent was especially annoying, not because it was the most annoying Nollywood accent I've heard, but just being in the same movie with Buchi's accent. I think it's also the same thing that it's also one of the reasons that made Nancy's choice of voice especially annoying, because you go from that to his sisters to Buchi, and like somebody should have stopped somebody somewhere and said no, take it again, take it down a notch or something. I don't know. I didn't like his sister. I didn't understand it. I think I could also expand this to Ibrahim's character. I think he was useful. I think he could have been even more useful, but I did not understand the characterization of him. I can't remember when exactly, but there's a time when we meet him, and he's very subservient to Lassis's character. But we don't see that again. It disappears and he turns into this, I know you've been acting up, but like I'm just this chill guy who forgives even when you've not asked for forgiveness or something. It wasn't, I can't place him. I think that's just it. I can't place him. I can't say, oh, this is who he is as a person. I don't think I necessarily need to know I just can't place him, if that makes any sense. What else didn't I like? We've talked, I think we've already talked about how there's a point where it just feels like someone threw the script out the window. I think that it was very jarring to be faced with that, because when I start watching Nollywood film, the first few minutes of it, I'm apprehensive. I'm waiting for the film to tell me what it is, so that I can choose. I can choose a state of mind that wouldn't annoy me too much or frustrate me too much. So I can choose a state of mind that allows me to bear it. So we start with like a really strong beginning, and I'm like, huh, okay, and I relax, and that middle catches me off guard, and I cannot explain or express the shock I was in. Like I think I had my mouth open for like a couple of minutes, just like, what the fuck is going on here? But it was also just disappointing, because I feel like from the beginning, I feel like at least what I got from the beginning was this was a movie that had something to say. Um, but that middle didn't say anything at all, and it's so interesting because I thought that it was a short-ish movie. I didn't think it was long. I think that it was very surprisingly, like, was surprisingly short. Um, so I thought it was a shortish movie, but I can pinpoint all these other scenes that need to go. That are wasting their screen time or whatever. So I wish it had stuck with the script. I think the beginning showed us that you can script comedy and it would be incredibly funny. Even parts of the end as well. You can script comedy. Your comedy also can serve the plot, can serve the point of the movie. I didn't think that it should have just been let go like that. Um, yeah, just the cheap laughs, the loudness. I didn't like it at all. And then I think that like my final, maybe not my final dislike. This is a bit weird, but I didn't hate it, but I wasn't a fan of the headspace shape, the headspace camera, where Narcissus' character is with his boss, with Yemi, and I think I can't remember. Oh no. Then we hear about the American guys for the first time, right? And then we switch between the main camera and then like this headspace camera. I didn't hate it, but I thought that it would have been a lot more impactful if we had stayed on Lassisi in the present and we'd heard him, but seen it in his face, just seen on his face the confusion, the processing. I thought it would have been like I was wishing for every time we switched to that camera and he was just, I don't know, I felt it just felt, I don't know, I was missing, I felt myself missing just being able to see him in the present, react to what was all of the mess that was happening in his head, being able to see him, see the way that he would move with his environment while being somewhere else mentally. I thought it would have been a lot more impactful. It would have driven home the point. I didn't, I didn't hate it, but I think my final would be the post credit scene. It's what you said, Mr. C. It's not just that I didn't care for the relationship. It's also it reminded me. Oh God, it reminded me of the post credit scene in Man of God as well. Uh, and you haven't earned my awe. I didn't feel anything. It was a waste of, it felt to me like a waste of screen time. I didn't feel anything. I should have. I also thought like too much time was spent on the marriage when we could have been spending this time watching him like learn something, anything, change somehow, anyhow. But we just random marriage matter, and like at the end of it, it's like, oh, your mom likes her, and I don't. Okay, I don't feel anything. I know this is supposed to be an all moment, but I don't feel anything because you've not earned it. Yeah, I think that's about it for me. I don't I don't think I can remember anything else. Ooh, I want to say that I really like the title. I know someone said that they didn't like the title. They thought they wouldn't like it from the title. But when I saw it when it was in cinemas, I said to myself, I want to watch this movie because the title seems interesting. So I like the title. That's it.
All right, thanks, Mel. You haven't earned my own is actually something that I might use in the future. I like that line. Just some things coming through, and you can actually apparently network is pushing some people out. That's what Ava said. But like, if you want to join I'm sure the recording will be available shortly after this. If you want to listen to after then, you can also send in your comments using the hashtag Nollywood Film Club. We'll be reading those. Tosin has said, I think the film was realistic though. Most people don't actually learn their lesson. They just want solutions to their problems, which is interesting, yes. But like I think what we're saying is that it shouldn't work. The magic should not work for you. I think that's actually how the genre plays it. The genre plays it with most people not wanting to. Um, just trying to find solutions to their problems, but that doesn't work, and they're stuck with the sort of thing they're trying to escape, and they have to just learn how to actually be what a good person. Anyway, Mariah, you tell us some of the bad stuff that you didn't like, or the things you didn't like. Mariah, are you there? It seems like we're having some network issues with everyone.
Sorry,
All
did you say me?
right. Yes, Mariah, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, it cut off for a minute. Um, so my first thing is probably, yeah, it's probably the title, because with the first half of um Temmie's characterization, I wouldn't describe him so much as an asshole, but maybe arrogant. And when we saw his relatives and where he had come from, I started thinking, oh, this man has learnt to speak the way he does. It's not out of um, his upbringing, and him using language to belittle other people is a source of power. And so this is showing how prideful, but also how deeply insecure he is. Um, I know that the politic of the film doesn't necessarily have to be that um, oh, it's classist to do this, and it's um, like a remnant of colonialism to do this, because the way he was speaking, there was an error he made when he said, "Oh, there's error on the document file." That itself was a redundancy, but there were so many times where it for me it was like, "Oh, this man."
Sorry, Mariah, I think you're cutting out. I I don't know whether it's a headphone issue or is it Wi-Fi
Can you hear me now?
versus mobile
I
data.
actually
Yeah,
can hear her
that's good.
clearly.
Oh yeah, okay, all right. Sorry,
Um,
Mariah, go on.
and for him to go from, let's say, I would define it as like received pronunciation for Nigerian English, and then going to what was described as Raz. For me, it wasn't necessarily Raz, but it was only slightly illiterate. And when I think of Raz characters, I'm thinking of maybe like Funke Akindele's Jennifer. Um, I'm thinking of characters that Brother Shaggy has played before. I felt like I could recognize the rules of his Razness very quickly. It was just a couple of gerunds and misplaced tenses. And for me, if I want to enjoy a Raz character, and the comedy's supposed to be in their, let's say, illiteracy, and not just the like irony of of this happening to somebody who values language, then I would have hoped for more bombastic language, because I think it was that film Brother Jekyll. I it was it was absolutely diabolical the way he spoke, and for me it just wasn't. It was almost there, but it wasn't enough. Um, and I just felt, okay, maybe the word it sold more than it delivered for me. So I just felt like what I could the characterization was strong, and then it just kind of waned after that. I thought, yeah, I think people have already said that the epiphany just didn't arrive. And I would have liked to have seen the magic not work, and then maybe him learn more about why treating people poorly was bad, because I didn't really see him lose anything for the way he had behaved. Usually, when you reach the personal epiphany, it's at the low point of the film because you've lost something. I would expect his girlfriend to have considered leaving him, or the party would have been a good time for this to blow up in his face, because Ireti Doyle's character was rude to Bimpe, but for some reason everything's fine with him when the parents clearly disapprove. It felt like we weren't making the character lose enough for him to want to change for himself, as opposed to just for himself to be a better person, as opposed to just change and then move on with his life. Um, the spell had the whole falling asleep part in the beginning, and then Franklin's character said, "Oh yeah, I woke up and my voice was um back to how it used to be." But then his changes during the meeting, or it wasn't exactly clear if he'd chosen to speak this Raz script and he just didn't know he could speak the way he used to. But I would have liked to have seen him wake up, and then we like have some kind of anticipation to see, oh, has his voice come back again? I mean, has his like the way he speaks come back? Um, yeah, I thought that Brother Shaggy could have been used a bit more because he could have bounced off him. But I did find um Bimpe's accent a bit somehow. Um, and I didn't know if that was a way that was similar to the way he used to speak. I would have thought, okay, show him interacting with people and being treated by people with that accent better, to show that it doesn't mean anything to have that accent. Because I don't know if there was any like point where they said having this accent isn't a terrible thing, because the only other person that wants this accent is Aguero. So it's not exactly saying there's nothing wrong with having this accent. And I thought that would be something to balance it. The morality of the film just didn't was just a bit inconsistent for me. And yeah, I wasn't expecting anyone to say, "Oh, it's you have to appreciate like geographical differences and take like if you can understand somebody, you don't need to belittle them with correction." But um, it's like it went somewhere, but it didn't go far enough for me. I thought that Nancy Sima's character, while she was, I wouldn't say she was spoilt, but she was definitely naive. And yeah, I would have liked to have seen some kind of growth from her because she was quite static. Um, and yeah, the unresolved family situation was just a bit of a loose thread. Frank Donga's makeup was awful. He looked flat. It's like they took sponge and Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse and patted it on his face, no powder. So yeah, it was just a little bit shocking.
All right, thanks, Mariah. Um, Still getting over it. Yeah, but yeah, I think that arc, final bit not working for a lot of people. And it's I don't know how we rectify landing the plane with a lot of our scripts, but here we go. Anika, please.
Yeah, so I just want to do a little bit of a defend before I go into my bad, right?
So,
Okay. I will start first with Nancy Simi character. I do think, first of all, when she started in the movie, her voice wasn't that high. It was in the middle of the movie that she changed into this sort of like, her voice became higher and speaking into such a ditzy sort of, like she was already talking like that, but in a regular, normal voice. And I think the fact that the start of the movie, she didn't pre start the what's it called? The start of the movie, she wasn't talking in that sort of light, high voice. It was really in the middle, and I was jarred by it that she started talking like that. I do think that her character is not necessarily useless. Do I think she's a fully fleshed out, not even like dimension having female character? No, she's not. I'm not going to. That's not what my argument is going to be. I do think that her character is not useless. This is why I'm going to say it. Our character is there to show the projection of the main character's insecurities. It's kind of like when The Great Gatsby is something I can think of, right? Daisy is written more complexly than this character, but a part of Daisy, an intuitive part of the character of Daisy, is that she is there to be a reflection of of Gatsby's insecurities because he's not rich, he doesn't know, and he needs to grab and get her to prove his own insecurity that he's now rich, he's made something. That is the same thing that Nancy Simi is there because from the very beginning, when our character comes in, his brother was talking very razzle, right? Nancy Itime does not look down on the brother. It just complains that the brother is complaining about her. The Nancy Itime's character, when Nancy Itime's character interacts with the Alsop, she is interacting with the Alsop with as much respect as somebody who is obviously who is of a rich. She's respecting the Alsop, but who stops the house up to who stops the house up? It is the main character. So from the very beginning, we see that it is not about who Nancy Simi her actual actions. He doesn't see her actual actions. He projects his own ideas onto her, right? That's what she's there for. And when they even have that conversation, right? She says she fully admits we are thinking that she's ditzy. She's not a ditzy person, right? She's just talking in that high voice, right? And that just comes out in the middle from nowhere because she was not talking in that high voice from the beginning. We don't hear what she's saying. She fully admits to him that yes, maybe when we meet, like we're just meeting for the first time, I would not talk to you if you were talking like that from the very beginning. I would not talk to you. Like it is after a conversation, right? And then she's like, but I know you. I love you. I know you and I love who you are, right? She does, like they've met already. They met when he was talking like normal. But now that I know you, I have made a relationship with you. You're the one that I want, right? You're the one that I want. She's the one saying that. It is after she says it, everybody's saying like, oh, he doesn't have some sort of change. It is very little. I'm not saying that that people don't have the something to say. It is after she and that conversation happens. And she has been pushing to meet the sister, right? She tells him, I want to meet your sister. She has been pushing that. But he's the one not doing it. And after that conversation, we start to see that he has a little light in his idea, right? Okay, yes, I'm going to make you meet my sister now, right? I'm going to make you meet my sister now. Yeah, I'm going to introduce my sister. It's not going to be an issue. So it's starting to slowly change. Before, he wasn't even considering it, even though there's indication that she was asking for it before. She wasn't even considering it. After he starts talking like this, and he could visibly more see that, yes, she's willing to accept him, even though he's talking like this. Yeah, let me show you to my sister. Of course, people don't change.
Sorry. Can I
Oh,
interrupt you real
yes.
quick?
Yeah.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Um, I, I, I kind of want to finish the sentence, but when I finish the sentence, I will give space. Um, it's after that what it is. It's after that they have that conversation that he's like, okay, yeah, let's meet our brother, but it's still people don't easily change. They still have the protection in their head, and he goes, it's like, oh, this is going to work, and then he goes, oh, no, it's not going to work because of the way she's talking. So let me just make sure she doesn't talk, and they meet. Right? I finished the sentence. I still have a lot to say, but I want to.
Actually, go on. Go on.
Okay, that is that she is the that conversation is the indication of like the spark. I'm not saying it changes completely because obviously the very next thing it doesn't. The spark on like maybe he's on this journey to realizing that, hey, the way I talk, the way I come from, or something, maybe I'm okay enough to meet this girl. Yes, it doesn't happen quickly and fastly enough. But Nancy also, even with Nancy, even with Nancy Simi's character, right? She goes back to her family. She meets her family. From the sight of the way she was looking, right? We could see that she was maybe a little bit nervous about, okay, the auntie being a judgmental person. But yes, she's still ditzy. She's still not a spoiled, like a sheltered rich girl. But I am saying that her character, the way it's written, and the actions that her character does bring out within the movie, it's not like she's useless. She's actually quite useful in a way. But the thing is that the issue that most people is that our entire character is reaching to just push the main character's development, right? We don't really get to see that much of who she is as something. But I do think that because she's talking in that ditzy voice, right? In that ditzy way, right? She is not fully fleshed out on her own personal places. There are many times that this movie definitely goes into, for instance, they brought out the engagement ring, right? In the very beginning. So I think this is going to be a story about, okay, when we first see the engagement ring, I'm already going like, oh, it's not good. The engagement ring is not for her. The engagement ring was going to surprise you, go somewhere, something else. I'm using other stories to judge that story. And that's not what happened. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's not what happened. Um, Even you can see she was pulling out a hand like this. Oh, when they come to the dinner part after he meets his sister. The thing is that it's not necessarily her. She has the the characteristics of something that we have already of a trope that we have already been praised by other movies to be like, this is a ditzy, shallow girl. We keep on saying that she's shallow, but nothing in the movie that she has actually done has actually shown her to be actually shallow. She just talks like a shallow girl. She talks like a valley girl. The same thing in like what's it called? Elle Woods. She talks like a shallow girl. She's shallow. She does the valley girl nothing thing, but in her actual actions of her character, she is not shallow. She just likes pretty things, and she just talks in very high pitch voice, and she likes the beauty. She likes pink, right? But in her actual actions, she's not shallow. I don't think the character is shallow. Now, you may say that the way Nancy Simi characterize her is bad. I guess the way the actor, yeah, I felt like why the hell in the middle of the story now is she talking in such an high voice? You should have been doing that from the very beginning. So that's just my defense of that. Of like a character is not useless. A character is not something, and I get why people sometimes like, especially in that high voice, I can get it because even if she had been talking from the beginning like that, I would have been like more accepting of it. But when it comes in the middle, I'm just like, what is that?
I think actually that's a fair pushback in the sense that yes, you're saying like she have the point in her there, especially with the combination of the sister. It's funny, like somebody else said the sister was useless, and I guess, whilst I said she was
The
useless,
sister
but
is also
I,
the
and what
sister is also not
yeah,
useless.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but I'm coming to your point. You were saying what you're saying is actually that essentially the sister is they use Nancy Sime as a sort of a point because like they're showing his insecurity through him shielding his sister from Nancy and Sime. That's how both of them sort of play into this. The point is that that doesn't have any relevance to his growth. It doesn't play anything to growth. I guess that's why we went on. They're both useless. Because if you cut both of them out, right? If we don't see this insecurity about his, you know, that he has for Nancy and Sime part and if he cut both of them out, as long as he meets Bucci and learns about how he has to do it, the movie just plays exactly as it should be.
I
That's
disagree. I disagree. I feel like we're very stuck on the traditional something of the traditional beats, right?
but that's what
I
happened.
disagree. Let me the disagreement comes at the fact that we wouldn't know he's the one projecting those insecurities. That's the thing that is
It wouldn't
very,
matter
very
though.
important.
Nancy
The
wouldn't be in the
insecurity
movie.
is
Like
irrelevant
it
to
it
It
to
it,
wouldn't
it,
matter.
it from well maybe this is for me. It would just be a simple, oh, he met the bushy guy, and like I feel like it gives more of the solid. It wouldn't be some. It wouldn't. I wouldn't. Without that,
So
let me
okay.
no. So say without that, for me, without that, I wouldn't have figured out that it is completely in his own head what he's doing, not necessarily the people around him, not necessarily like pushing him to think that. Is in fact, yes, maybe they shouldn't be together because I'll tell the girl that look here, this man is seeing you in completely in his own way. He's not even seeing you for who you are. He never sees the people for who they are. It's all about his own reflection. It's all about his own reflection. That's how I say it. That's how I do think. Even the sister too is there because I get how people are saying, oh, he doesn't learn. I'm not saying that he completely changes. He listens to, we also learn from listening to other people. We also learn from listening to other
Who did
people.
he
There
listen
was
to?
some Butchie character, like
He
the change that
listened to
comes.
Bucci because Bucci was suffering from a similar problem
Yeah,
as him
that's what
and
I'm saying.
solves it. He only
Yes,
listens to people when it's convenient for him, not because
it
he's
does.
learning anything. When he wants
That's
to
another way of
introduce,
learning. That's another
it's
way of
really
learning.
not. That's not learning. That's
I
just
I I,
it's
I
like
get I get
Nigerian learning where you memorize an answer as opposed to learning how to actually reach the answer. Like you haven't learned anything, you just memorize what your teacher said.
I I I I firmly like. I'm not saying it's the strongest way. I mean, the strongest way to if you're going to write this type of movie, it's to. I had the same thought that everybody said that it doesn't learn from actually receiving a strong consequence, right? I get that. I also agree with everybody that that's going to be a better choice, a much stronger choice, because most people are used to. That's the way things end, and most people are used to that, and that's what people will want to have. But this choice is also not completely horrible to me because people do learn from other people's mistake. If you're swimming in the same way that somebody else is swimming, and then you see that somebody gets bitten by a crocodile, do you continue to swim that way?
But he's already been
No.
bitten by a crocodile.
yeah, but
I'm making a
Aisha,
point.
let me fine tune this because like essentially what somebody learns from seeing somebody get bitten by a crocodile in a river is not to swim in a river where that crocodile is. What we're saying is that what he learns from Bucci is not he doesn't learn to be a good person. He learns how to cure his affliction. That's not
Ye-
the same thing as being a better person.
Okay, I get that. I'm not even saying whether he's a better person or not.
But
I am saying,
that's why Nancy and his sister are not relevant to the main plot of the movie
I
because
am
all he
saying,
has to do is meet Gucci, learn how to cure his affliction, and we essentially get there. Now, like it's
yes.
not it might not be necessary for them to add meat, but like then they have to be interesting enough of their own right. Like, so not everything, I guess, has to move the plot forward, but then they have to just be interesting and worth people's time. And like, obviously, this is subjective to whomever, but like,
Yeah.
if Nancy is giving the performance that she's given and she's not moving the plot forward, I can't. This, that's where we arrive. Where we arrive.
But guys, she does. There is the speech that she does have. The characters, like, it's not the fact that she's his girlfriend and then tells him that I love you no matter what. Even that's something. It gives him the impotence to start on his journey of change, of sort of changing. Even though it doesn't. What we want is for him to, like, okay, like there has to be some big consequence, a big punishment that he does, and that sort of happens when is he talks, when he talks to Bucci, right? This is how this, if I can remember the scenes going, right? It comes when he has the big fight with his sister. He has the big fight with his sister. He has the big fight with his sister, and he says the horrible things that he said to his sister. And he comes back home and asks for where his sister is. Right? He's already in that moment something. He actually asks for where his sister is, right? He is realizing that he's doing something wrong. What we are not saying is necessarily big something, but if you see the character bit of the story, he's realizing that he's done something. And then it goes to the, what's it called? To the performance of his brother, the comedy performance of his brother. And he sees the person that was also afflicted with what he was, right? That person, before the other time that they met and then have the conversation, right? They were talking, it was Bucci was talking about, like, maybe the reason why I got this. So they already talked about the reasons why the first time that they meet, right? They already talk about the reasons why maybe they are being put with this application, right? It says maybe the reason why I got this is because I didn't give my brother the money, or I told my brother, what it specifically says that people have their own way, and I was trying to force my brother to be like me, right? I'm paraphrasing, right? I'm trying to force my brother to be like me, but that's not right. So Bucci, they are having this conversation, and Bucci is realizing something, and then he acts on that realization. So the next time he sees him, he sees that Bucci has acted on that realization. It's not necessary for him to go on or do something, right? He's already also at points of his changes. It's just not big. It's just not like actionable. Like, it doesn't have action. It's just through conversations and dialogues and little actions that we see those little changes, right? And then he sees, when he hears that from Bucci, he's like, you know what? Yeah, maybe this might help me heal myself. And it doesn't happen immediately. It doesn't happen immediately. It goes to every single person that we see that does the answering thing towards him that leads him to the cause. It goes to every single person and enacts a change. It gives
He said
something to be
sorry.
changed. Even though I'm just somebody that is about, like, it's not necessarily.
Because even Bucci reaches a realization in that conversation with him. Even after that conversation with Bucci, he still doesn't realize anything.
Yeah, he doesn't
When
realize it.
when
He
he
doesn't
wants to
realize it.
introduce his girlfriend to his sister finally, it's not because he's learned something. It's because now he knows it won't have any blowback on him. And the moment he thinks it will have blowback on him, he fucks it up still. Like, there's no point in that
He
scenario
fucks
where
it up.
he's
Yeah, he
actually
fucks it.
learning anything, as opposed to just say, this will work out for me, so I'm going to do it now.
I feel like we actually see how changes happen. Changes don't happen like that quickly. He learns, but he fucks it up still, right? He fucks it
Does
up
he
still.
learn,
It's little
or
tiny
does he
changes,
just think
and
he
then
can make it work?
the thing is that, yes, he does something that people are like, oh yeah, he learns. I'm not even saying that's not, people are not right. Like, he learns from Bucci, like, oh, after Bucci puts it into actions, that, oh, maybe if I act this way, it might change the outcome of the situation. Yes, that's how real change happens in real life anyway. Okay, and then you know what? The justification, like, it doesn't get the reward quickly. It
He
doesn't
gets it
get
the
the reward.
next
No,
day.
it doesn't. It doesn't get the reward quickly, because when he does it he does it for every
It's
single
same
person.
day.
May
It's
I
almost
may I
same
finish?
day.
It doesn't like. Let me explain why I don't think gets the reward quickly. It goes to the. It does. He apologizes to the interns. Number one, he apologizes to his sister. He even does the entire. What's it called? He does the entire presentation in that voice. One of the reasons why he was freaking out was like he cannot make this presentation in this voice because it sounds like an idiot. But yet it goes and does the entire presentation in that voice. It was until after the presentation was finished. It was until after the thing that he started talking normally. He learns. He
But
does
even
learn,
prior to
but it's not. But
the
I feel like
presentation, he pitches to those guys in like 3 words and they still accept it. The movie establishes
he doesn't
no
present
consequences
the
for him.
presentation. He does.
No, no, no.
It,
Prior to the presentation, when he pitches to, I don't know the name, the chief and like his associate, where he's like
yes,
something cover and they still love it. Like the movie establishes no consequences for him.
I, I, I,
Like
I I
there
think by
are no
consequences.
consequences one way or
I
the
think by
other in the
consequences,
presentation.
people necessarily want big comeuppance. Just like I said, I remember I said
It's
like,
not
oh, I
comeuppance
wanted
though. Like
comeuppance for the for
somebody
the for
learning
the
a
anti.
lesson.
That is not necessarily learning a lesson. That's just getting a
Okay.
punishment.
All right. I think
But
we've
okay,
reached the point
now
where we're
let me go
going
to
on
my
this one.
bad. That's just the
All
things
right.
I
Yeah.
just want to say. But
Okay.
again, it's subjective. It's subjective. That's just my subjective. Now let me go to my bad because that was not my bad. I was just something. My bad is definitely like okay. Um, there I definitely my personal subjectiveness. I wanted to come up in for the anti, right? This is the simple type of something that you wanted to come up for the anti, but okay, the anti doesn't get a come up. My question then the question becomes like I remember what Miss I don't know whether it was Mrs. C. Somebody did say that it's not necessary for the auntie to be there then, that the party could have just been in the party and the woman and the sister could definitely in that rich room could definitely was be be disrespected without necessarily having the auntie's character because that auntie's character now we say is she's useless. Like Dance's character is useless. Like there was another ways that you could use to something to put on that. It's a very typical. I could say that okay. One of the things that is not necessarily bad was like to have a more stronger the people watching it, right, to have it to more strongly convey it. Maybe indeed they should have chose something that made it seem that is very very act like a big action or a big like what you say consequences like oh he fails the presentation and everything and the presentation goes to that go and then from there he learns his mistakes or whatever maybe something to make him more stronger but I particularly could say that I kind of like the way they went through it because it's different. It's a different way of form of telling storytelling that I made a different choice that is not predictable or something that I expect to see. Some of the improv and going to the script part definitely does not gel as much, but so that's just some of the bads I have for it.
Thank you, Anika. Always appreciate pushback. Even sometimes I think we don't get enough of it on Film Club, even though we disagree. But Cynthia, have I called you? Have you said your
Oh, no.
okay? I can't believe you're the one rounding us up, but
No, Vanessa has not said to. I don't think
huh?
Vanessa has spoken.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, it's true. Yes, don't worry. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, before I say my bad, I was like saying that I think Oyinko and Otas should be like the first people that's going to do Nollywood fight, a Nolly fight. So we'll have like O2 Nollywood fight. No,
We'll get that. We'll get that.
but yeah, so let me go back to my bad. Like almost everyone has said almost everything. So it's just me like repeating it in a shorter version. So the first thing I wrote was Narcissus assets, and I understood where Oinka's debate was coming from. But what pissed me off was more of the variations of her voice. So it was as if she was talking like Cinderella today. No, she was talking like Cinderella in one scene. She's talking like Snow White in another scene. So she has like different variation of Disney princess voice throughout the movie. Then another thing is when I was watching the movie and they were going to do the mother celebration, so at when they were done with the hosting, the auntie was there. Bimbe did something. The auntie got pissed. The guy carried his sister to another place. When the movie ended, I was like, what was the use of that thing? Was it like they wrote the script and they were like, let's put a celebration for the Nigerian audience because we didn't see any follow up, we didn't see any lesson, nothing was addressed. It was just like, let's just put a celebration. Nigerian audience will like something, wedding, naming ceremony. Let's just put something. Then I'm not going to talk about character development because everyone has argued about it. Then back to Nancy and brother Shaggy's relationship. I do like relationship, but I just did not care about the relationship in this movie. Okay, so the whole seeing the ring first, she knew it was going to be marriage. She had an annoying character. Everything happened. The auntie did bad to the sister. Nobody took the fall for it. And I still went back to the babe, and it's now marriage. Like, I didn't care about the relationship. Talk more of the marriage. It was just like, yeah, we just need to have a way to end this in a good way. So let's capitalize on the relationship and the proposal, and let's end the film with an happy ending. Then everyone have also spoken about the unscripted parts and when they were acting places that were not in the script. Cause I was enjoying the movie, like I was really enjoying the movie. And in I got to the scene where Lasisi, Brother Shaggy, Aisha, and Bimpe was there. Immediately Brother Shaggy opened his mouth and he started speaking. I just like my excitement went from 100 to 0. Yeah, so and it wasn't just me. So I might be biased. Like I don't like Brother Shaggy's comedy. I don't like comedy that involved with a lot of shouting and everything. But then again, I also had a friend that was watching the movie that also stopped watching the movie because of that scene. So um that Brother Shaggy scene that they met with MC Lively and all those parts was just like a total turn off for the movie. But I mean, I could manage MC Lively, but the whole Brother Shaggy stuff was just a total turn off for me. Then finally, because I'm definitely not touching character development, finally I felt like the boss, Yemi Sholade, when everything was happening, he had this he was not aware. So, like you're supposed to know this narcissist character to be someone that is an asshole. He speaks good phonetics. He uses phonetics very well, and then he started this Abero type of speaking, and the boss did not show like what is going on. Like even during the presentation when he was still trying to use one word to do everything. After everything, there was no statement from the boss, no self, no like no noticing, just there. Even when everything happened, when he got back his phone back, I was like, did you notice anything? It was still there. So I felt like maybe that was how they decided to write that character. And yeah, maybe it's forgivable because it's a male boss. But if it was a female boss, I won't. It's not believable because yeah, we do know how to notice things. But yeah, I felt him not noticing anything was just off. And yeah, so that's all.
Thank you, Cynthia. Vanessa, do you want to say some things you did not like?
At this point, I don't even know if I have bad to say again because we've been going on for a while. However, I have solutions. I decided to have a change of heart.
Wait, is it just me or is Vanessa's mic low?
It's low.
Okay.
Hold on, no. Still low.
Now it's better. Whatever you're doing. Have you met yourself? Have they meet you?
Wahala deal. Okay, okay.
Good.
So I said I had a come to Jesus moment, and I'm here to proffer solutions instead of say my bad. With regards to character
Okay.
development, let me tell you people what would have solved this problem for all of us about how it just felt a little jarring that my guy just got solution. Montage. One montage would have a 30-second montage would have just, helped us along. Just a 30-second montage showing him dealing with day-to-day life with his new way of speaking, building relationships with people at work based on this way of speaking. Just that a 30-second montage would have been great and just eased it all along. And they could have still done it in the 20 minutes post meeting Buchi's character. Another solution is for our Ilikpeju London Tipton. What would have just stopped this whole thing is if Nancy Sime did not play this character. And this is not Nancy Sime hate. It's just
Yes, it is. But go on.
It's solution. Let me offer my solution now. London Tipton would have been great. If
Vanessa, why will you mute yourself? Why have they mute
it's
you?
network, I'm not muting myself. I don't know what's going on today.
Yeah, today's network is really trying. All right,
I
go
said
on.
our
Can
Ilikpeju
you?
London Tipton would have been great if it was played by Venita Kpofure or Sophia Lakija. Because Nancy just wasn't it. I'm sorry, the London Tipton voice was getting on my nerve. Nobody can do London Tipton the way London Tipton does London Tipton. Even for London Tipton was a dumb blonde who wasn't blonde. Like there's levels to this shit. It genuinely was jarring and threw me out of the film. My next solution is this: seeing as Nollywood is not letting go of having skip makers and Instagram comedians be in our films, I don't have a problem with it because last they're actors in their own rights. But the solution would be to actually have them stay on script. Keep that improv shit in the back of the house. Nobody wants to see that shit. Keep it for bloopers at the end of the film. If they can stay on script, especially because to a large extent, minus the third act and our redemption arc, this script was well written. If they had just stayed on script and actually had this guy act out lines that were written for them, we wouldn't be having a problem because then we would actually see them act. Because it's the thing with Brother Shaggy. We've seen it in multiple films now that Brother Shaggy's been in. All he is an extension of the Instagram comedy character that he plays. This man is not giving a script. This man is not being tasked with acting. So this is my solution, Nollywood. Cast as many Instagram comedians and skit makers as you would like, but give them scripts, especially even if it's a comedy. If in fact, more so when it is a comedy, write the comedy so that they can act the comedy. See, solutions. What else? What else was wrong with this film that we're having problem with? Yeah, Michelle Ade. Hey, Cynthia, that was your personal problem. Me, I just wanted to see the man's fine face. So again, solution: give your Michelle Ade roles. What else was wrong with this film? Oh yeah, landing the plane. I feel like in the past few weeks, with Film Club, we've had a conversation. We continue to have this conversation about how to end a film. Seems like recently Nollywood's been having issues with landing the plane. It's like you do, and this is me being very generous. You do all this building, especially in the first act. Nollywood has some really strong new Nollywood, especially in recent times, have some really strong first acts. They get right into it. They're telling us who these people are to a large extent. And then from like the second half of the second act towards the third act, they just throw a wrench in it and ruin every single bit of character development that they've done. And then they realize, oh shit, we've messed up. And then they try to tie it all up in a pretty bow, but the box isn't wrapped. And so it's just, the bow is just sticking out because the box is wrapped like a nonsense. So we genuinely need to, this is not me being rude, but we genuinely need to figure out how to carry a film, carry a story, carry the thought throughout. This is me going, you guys don't jump down my throat. But even at minutes, with like 20 minutes left in the film after he met Bucci, which is piggyback of Mel's point, you could see the wheels turn in our fancy Agbero's head when he has that initial conversation. This is not the second conversation, the very first conversation, that initial conversation with Lasisi as to what exactly he did wrong to cause this to happen. And as soon as, it hits him that it was because he was making his brother be someone who he wasn't, that he became somebody who he wasn't overnight. It hit him then, and you could see the wheels turn and actually make that change. And honestly, that was all we needed. That should have been our come to Jesus moment, because then it just felt like that conversation was a waste, which is the thing about the third act, because that should have been the moment when the wheels went, when the light bulb went off above Lasisi's head and he went home and thought about it. Even if he made that thing with giving his sister the drink, he's still mulling over, the thought of being a changed person, which is the thing about the montage that I mentioned. Just give us like a 30-second to 45-second montage of him, being at work, saying, okay, fuck this by force, what's it called? Potion that they've given me to drink. I'm no longer doing pastor and babalao. I'm not actively searching for solutions. This is my life now, and I'm gonna have to deal with it. That's how you build on a character that you have established. And it's that little thing, because life isn't all wrapped up in a pretty bow at the end of the day. And even though this is fiction or whatever, wrapping it all up in a pretty bow just does the whole film a disservice. Carry the thought through. Yeah? Montages are great, guys. I love a good montage, and I feel like in recent times Nollywood hasn't used a montage, or they use a montage really horribly. We need to find that sweet spot when we use a montage to just tell bits of the story that we feel would take too much time. Just give us a nice sweet montage. That's all we need, with some great music. And it's a really good storytelling technique, guys. Montages. That's my solution. That's basically the summary of my bad. Montages, everybody. Know them, love them, use them. Thank you. I'm done now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'm just going to read a couple of people who shared their tweets. Shagan said the only way they could have portrayed him learning would have been at the office, meaning they'd have to write out more legal related stuff. Maybe there would have been a consequence like him losing the presentation. I mean, that's one way. I think there's probably other things they could have done. I think Vanessa mentioned, the act of clearing out some of the herbalist thing is kind of like, no, I'm not interested in getting better.
Yeah.
Getting better, because like even like the interest in getting better is like you haven't really you still have that bias, right, against the bad English, right? But whatever. That arc just didn't land for a lot of us, it seems. Anyway, Mel says I don't care if he learned to be a good person. I just care that there was consequence. All this stress. What did he come out with? A proposal. A proposal. He met a pastor Babalawo. He befriended an Agbara. How has any of this impacted him? How should it impact me? Right. So that's Mel sharing her dissatisfaction with consequences. Fido says it's interesting seeing the film from the different perspectives of the speakers. I'm enjoying seeing outside the box of my perspective, especially with what people didn't like about the film. I like how it's been picked apart to be critically analyzed. Thanks, Fido. That is exactly what Film Club hopes to achieve at its best. At its best. All right, Mrs. E, did you have something you wanted to say?
I feel like so much has been said already. There's just almost no point dragging it out. I will say thanks, Vanessa, for providing solutions.
I actually disagree with solutions on Film Club.
No,
but sure,
no,
go on.
no. I'm
I
just
know.
saying
Genuinely.
thanks for that. There's a way to say the bads. And I say this because it's one of the solutions was, one for me is the thing I hated the most. I could forgive everything, absolutely every other thing, the arc, the resolution, didn't care. That bit where we had all the Instagram comedians unite, right? That was the worst part of the film for me. Because it started off strong, I was really enjoying myself, and then we got into this whole chaotic bit where everybody was freestyling. And I've previously complained about having Instagram comedians in our films, and we've been told off about complaining about Instagram comedians in film. And here's my thing is, I realized I don't hate having Instagram comedians in our film. I hate putting them in our films and just letting them ad-lib. That's what I have a problem with. I don't like put an Instagram comedian in a film and then let them be themselves, right? Because we had Lasisi, who's basically an Instagram comedian, right, as the lead. And I was perfectly fine with him. Not a problem. Absolutely enjoyed it. Every time he had actual lines to read, great. So yes, so that's what I'm thinking, Vanessa, for her problem. Because earlier today I was thinking, just leave the Instagram comedians out. Well, except that's fine. But just don't put them in and let them ad lib. Just give them lines. Like if you want them to have some say, let them write the lines, right? Tell them the scene, let them write the lines. You fine tune it, make sure it fits, and let them actually have lines. Thank you, and God bless.
It's actually interesting that point. I actually think there's even a finite point with the Instagram comedians, and I don't think they don't even have to have lines. If they ad lib and what they ad lib is good, fine, concise, it also is fine. But what we keep on getting is there was a point where the scene just kept on dragging, and they just kept on ad libbing because that's what happens when no one's particularly following lines of the script. Because the thing you can do with script is you can order, hey, we want to start at this low point, build up to this high point, and this is how we're going to land it. But if you keep on ad libbing, nobody knows. You can lose control of how you want to end the scene, and what happens is that it keeps on dragging. And maybe in a different film, it wouldn't even show as much. But in a film where the writing had already been so concise, I had already seen Lasisi really just focus on the script where he was talking, where he was just following the lines. Him being funny was in a lot of his delivery and a little bit of subtlety with his acting. I like his interruption, the interns have done something good and he doesn't praise them. It's all right. Okay, it seems like you've done that next thing. Interrupt them. What's the next thing? It's like he's really putting pressure on their necks. But that's where he was shining. When this film started, I actually thought that I was going to have to nitpick. I was like, all right, I'm going to have to get my nitpicking thing out if I'm going to find anything bad about this film to say. That's what I thought was going to. That's what I thought it was going to be at. I was going to say things like, "Oh, Lasisi's Razz Guy thing, I don't think it's the best. It's not bad. It's just I think Files does that Razz thing better because like I think there is a method to the bad grammar. People don't just say any and any words incorrectly. There are words that are a little bit more tricky or tricky to pronounce, and those ones are usually the ones that get mispronounced and all of that. Like Files does that almost impeccably. I don't think he would have probably been able to pull the straighter parts as well as like CC. I'm not saying that needed to happen, but I mean that's something I could live with. But like I thought that was going to be the level of push critique I was going to have to do for this, and with the footsteps sound design, small things like that. But as it went, the script the story, which I actually really like in the first part, just again, it just doesn't live up to that build up that it has. And I'm not going to be adding anything new. I think we've said as much as we can about that third act, sorry, and how it could tie in. But the truth about it is that this I know I love the music, I love the filmmaking, and the genre is boring. It's not boring. It is in that genre. The film it pays homage to. I know what genre it is, and I know what it's doing, and it lets down. It's just a letdown. It's the changes it makes is just not as good as what the genre usually does. I didn't care about Nancy Sime. It didn't feel like Nasisi got his comeuppance. Any sort of, it didn't feel like he got enough consequences, um, and he didn't, and he didn't learn from his own experience. It felt like he cheated his way through this. That's what it felt like for me. And that those three things, all right, were honestly enough to sour the experience I had. I still would. Okay, we'll come back to the summary, but that from going, oh, this is a good film that like it's not changing the wheel, it's not reinventing the wheel, it's not bringing anything completely new, but like we've taken I was thinking I was going to say we've taken a genre that most people are familiar with, and we've done a very good Nigerian version to. Yeah, this doesn't even really quite achieve what I think it was going for. But yeah, this is where the problems I had with this. All right, so I think at this point we can go to our summaries here. So who do we start with? Let's start with Vanessa before her network cuts out.
Wow, the shade of it all. Is this summaries? I liked it. I would like more comedies like it that are written. And yeah, I feel like my solution said it all for me. Hire Instagram skit actors, just give them scripts. Because then we can actually see them act. But yeah, I liked it a lot. At least the first act is really great. Lasisi was a revelation. Yeah, it was all right. It was flawed, but it was good. I laughed. I actually did laugh, and it's been a while since I laughed at anything that Nollywood said was comedy. This was funny. So, props. Oh yeah, I'll watch it again just to hear Buchi Franklin say Egbero.
All right. Thanks, Vanessa. Elizabeth.
For my summary, I'll say that this is a lovely, feel good comedy. I enjoyed it in part, but I enjoyed it overall. It's quite refreshing. I enjoyed the performances. I'd say that Nollywood should do more of this kind of comedies. I really enjoy them. So, what else? I will recommend this movie to more people. In fact, I will really, really recommend it to people. If you want to watch Nigerian comedy, I'll take this before I take any other one. Thank you. I'm done talking now.
Oh my God, I was on mute. All right. Otas, are you there?
Hard pass on everything, I guess, except Bucci.
All right. Okay. At least even Butchie stands the funny test for this. Mel.
I thought parts of it were really funny, but I left feeling a bit dissatisfied with other parts of it. Yeah, so that's my summary. I think that I will watch it again. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Mel. Cynthia.
Yeah, so I felt it was a good comedy. It made me laugh. Why recommend it? Yes, but I have to give a disclaimer to endure the or ignore the Instagram skit makers meet and greet. And I okay. And I also think like I generally do not have a problem with Nollywood making Hollywood script kind of movies as far as they execute it properly. And I think the execution in this movie was good. So yeah.
All right. Thanks, Cynthia. Ayinka.
So I would recommend this movie. I think the movie does very well with the things that it has, and I think that it is a it is a pretty good movie. Like there, I don't have any qualification like I normally have, and it's not reinventing the wheel. It's nothing completely new, and it's just a good something time that you will not feel like you wasted your complete time and they were very much it was laughable, and I feel like it can be very universal and people can get it. That's my recommendation. I would recommend this movie.
All right. Thanks, Ayinka. Mariah.
Um, a very solid attempt at a very, I'd say, simple story. Funny in many places and generally good, but personally not my cup of tea.
All right. Thanks, Mariah. Mrs. C.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I'll add Cynthia's disclaimer of ignoring the skit makers meet and greet. Yeah, I liked the premise. Like I said, I called like quite early, and I was like, "Oh, it's giving liar, liar," and I like that. I like when I'm perfectly fine with us taking pre-existing Hollywood stories, tropes, whatever, and just adapting it to a Nigerian audience, to Nigerian reality, to something that seems Nigerian. I like that, so that works for me. Yeah, I thought the premise was nice. I thought most of it was enjoyable. Didn't like the resolution, but I could have forgiven it if we didn't have or whatever it was that Nancy was doing. Sorry, Incan, but sorry, I'm not sold on your
But
defense.
guys, I want to mention one thing. I don't like what Nancy. You can hear me. I criticized that. I didn't think her acting was good. I'm just saying that the character is necessary.
I'm
So
saying the
before
character and the
I didn't think her
portrayal.
acting was good. I'm just
That's
saying the character
okay, but Oyinka, it's my
is not
summary.
useless. That's all I'm
Oyinka,
saying.
Oyinka, it's my summary. I'm saying both Nancy's portrayal and that character could go in the bin. I didn't care for either of them.
Nancy in the bin.
Her portrayal,
Okay.
not her her portrayal of said character. But yeah, that's basically it. If you ignore those things, I think it was a fun watch. I like the premise. I feel like from the film, I feel like I can see the work of a good number of people who know what they're doing for quite a good part and actually cared about the product, which was really nice to see. So yeah, it's stuff from people I definitely watch again.
Yeah, I think I'm generally leaning with most people on the film club. Is I thought it was a very strong start, like a very strong start. Like I felt like it really knew and understood the genre. It was gonna do subtlety. I got all of that, and then comedians came in, Instagram skip makers came in, took all of the subtlety and threw in the bin.
Yeah.
It returns back for a brief moment. It comes in and goes those guys, but I guess the three things that sort of throw it for me at them is the Instagram comedians, the way protagonist lends his arc, and also uh, Nancy's performance and portrayal. And that's important to the story because apparently you're supposed to care that, he gets engaged to her. I don't even know. I'm not even sure what. Anyway, so that would be my disclaimer. Like, so but I agree with everybody that in terms of comedies, I do want to encourage people to write more comedies, and this is what I mean. Like the jokes that worked for me were written down and well thought of, and it took a character that and put him in a certain situation that was funny and made him interact in funny ways. So it's the writing of the jokes as opposed to leaving it to ad-libbing. Instagram comedians are able to achieve a lot of their success because they can cut a lot of their fluff out with jump cuts. This is how they can do a lot of the things you can't do in film. So it just doesn't translate. That's why a lot of times that they don't work is that format, that platform can cheat it in a way that will work where it doesn't work in film. So that's my solution. If we're gonna be solution-based things, that it's not really a solution. It's just a reason why they don't work. But yeah, overall, I if I don't recommend this, then I would be signaling other types of comedies to do well. So yes, for that reason, watch it. But like caveat, it doesn't have the strongest landing. All right, but all of that said, we're gonna be, I think next Sunday we're supposed to have Dwindle, and we might still have Dwindle, but I guess based on what Mrs. C says and what we might also have a midweek film club. We'll see how Mrs. C feels, because we have to do what is it, King of Thieves?
We have to.
We have to. I think that one's very interesting because that one's a Marmite one where a lot of people.
Yeah, I think we definitely do have to do it, and we're going to have to put in the schedule somewhere.
Yeah,
Pull
we'll
up the
find.
schedule.
Yeah,
let's see.
Yeah,
we'll take away one audience choice day and replace it with King of Thieves.
Yeah. All right. Okay, but like that's the plan at this point. If we'll let you know when we're going. The Nolly data for whatchamacallit. What did the Razz Guy is going to tomorrow, not today. Apologies. My apologies. I know you guys love rating things on Nolly data.
I know you can't wait.
I know you guys love to get there. As soon as let me go rate on Nolly data. Just filled with all of the ratings. But I'll put it up tomorrow, and you guys can rate away. But thanks, guys, for joining Film Club. We'll be back here same time next Sunday, 6:00. If we're not back before then for a midweek one, let's see how it goes. But follow us if you're not already following us on Iroko Critic, and we'll give you the updates. But thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday, 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.